We step outside and something stops me in my tracks. The night, in all its glory. The oppressive heat of deep southern summer days has cooled down a bit. Life in all its forms has come out to enjoy the small respite. I smell water from the sea and from the marshes, life in the trees and the scent of humanity. The wood smoke and the cooking meats, the alcohol and the sweat, and under that, all this vitality. I hear people and hunting things. Insects. Some distant music. Men and women dancing, drinking, and singing their worries away. Tomorrow, news of capricious floods devastating fields and villages may come, as they do every summer, but for now, they forget. I look at the many roofs and the burning lamps, and above it, the sky. There are so many colors, so many patterns I had never noticed before. The Milky Way slashes the sky like the thrown brush of an irate painter. At the center of this incredible vista looms the strange eye I first saw. Just as I look at it, it stares right back, and I can once again feel an alien presence. It does not threaten nor promises, it does not even judge. It just watches quietly. Perhaps I have somewhat come to terms with my new nature because I find it soothing. Even the ever-present thirst takes a place in the background. I always wondered how your kind sees it. You all look like it contains a Faberge egg, or a tarantula. You know of what we see. The eye. Lady Moore mentioned it. She calls it the demon's gaze. It is not a demon, but a silent watcher. Baudouin flinches. What? Lord Nerari used the exact same term. I guess his blood runs true, eh? He sighs. They say every vampire who looks up sees the eye staring right at them. Scary stuff. I have nothing to reply to that. We walk towards the docks and pass by the brand new Spanish buildings around the view car. The bells of the St. Louis Cathedral grate my ears. It is midnight. Is something the matter, Ariane? I walked here, not a month ago. In that exact same street. Ah, I forgot. I am not used to working with one so young. We will have to adapt, lest you are recognized. You make it sound like you are an old man. As it turns out, he is. Baudouin is Lady Moore's human servant. They are bound together, and so long as she lives, so does he. Only masters can bind someone so. I learn more useful facts from him in 30 minutes than I ever did from that slovenly whore. Clan Lancaster rules most of the English part of New Orleans, while Clan Econ wormed its way into the Creole population. Clan Cadiz only has a nominal presence. The Roland are all in Baton Rouge. What is left of them is, anyway. Clan Lancaster is renowned for its business acumen and recruits heavily from mage families, with whom they are constantly at war. Clan Lancaster makes good money from the trade of slaves and foodstuff. Most of the profits are paid as a tithe to the main house in England. I am sure this vexes Moore to no end. Mages are another part of the magical population. Baudouin informs me that he will give me a more detailed explanation of the global magic community if I prove myself a trusted associate. He knows much about vampires. Fledglings apparently need more blood just to function. Physical exertion consumes a tremendous amount of energy and is discouraged during the first 2 years. In fact, it appears that fledglings need to be reared for quite some time before they are able to enter society once more. The youngest of us are either feral or apathetic. There is no in-between. I seem to be the exception, though I am not sure why. Master is not known for siring spawns of notable intellect. Baudouin learned about my confrontation in Jimena's training room. I am quite fast for a newborn, but also very fragile and physically weak. This is good to know. Master is very old, and I had hoped that it would make me stronger, but it seems life does not work this way. Vampires dislike firearms, bows, and crossbows because those are peasant weapons. Many powerful vampires predate the use of gunpowder. This is yet another sign of profound arrogance and imbecility to me until I remember Master and Gaspard moving faster than even I could perceive. Perhaps this makes the use of ranged weapons pointless among us. I still see no reason not to use it on humans. Speaking of humans, the battle priests are members of the Order of Gabriel. They are dedicated to the extermination of all magical beings. They also despise the Irish, the Mexicans, the Jews, the poor, and women. Truly, a charming lot. Quickly, we reach the warehouse and I halt Baudouin before we come in sight. Those streets are silent but for laughter coming from our destination. I drag him through a nearby alley and approach the target from the side. It looks more like a barn than anything else. It is made from a dark wood that smells faintly of rot and is large enough to hide a sloop. I move my befuddled companion towards the entrance but stop before turning the corner and getting in view of the door. This is where the laughter is the loudest. I track a ray of light to a small hole in a plank. It is too small to see through, Ariane, says Baudouin with derision. I stare him in the eye, place my clawed index against the opening and push. The damaged wood bends and breaks under the sharp nail and my finger digs completely. The raucous conversations mask the small noise I made. I did not break eye contact. Baudouin pales a bit, even though he must have seen more impressive displays of strength during his many years of service. I successfully hide my relief that the wood yielded. It would have been quite embarrassing otherwise. I look in. Dull oil lamps cast a yellow blaze on a dozen men and women in the midst of a drunken revel. They are all young and flushed with heat and vitality. The girls show just a bit too much skin than their parents would allow. The men's smiles have a wolfish quality. The thirst wakes up from its slumber. Greedy thing, you were already fed once tonight. Like a princeling on his throne, a dashing young man in an open leather vest, brown pants, and boots sits at the forefront. He has black hair, an opera pirate beard, and dreamy gray eyes. He currently holds on his lap a cute blonde woman in trousers whose generous bust is revealed by an ample cleavage. A tall and strong bearded man stands close with a wary eye on the door. I also discover another interesting fact about myself. While I used to judge group dynamics around power play in cliques, what I notice now is entirely focused on hunting. This is a herd. It has a dominant male, a dominant female, and a powerful beta. I see who will fight and who will flee. I see who I can isolate easily and who the easiest prey is. The runt of the group is a mousy girl with heavy glasses who stares fixedly at dear André with what Papa would call de yeux de crapaud mort d'amour. Eyes of the toad dying of love. Poor thing. I know better than most what infatuation can do when one's chosen's heart is as black as tar. Baudouin, find out who I cannot touch. With his help, I identify 3 men and 2 women whose disappearance would cause an uproar. André's second and the blonde woman are not among them. Excellent. A plan starts to take form. How much time do I have? Until the next delivery arrives, that would be 3 days from now. That should be more than enough, I reply and walk to the doors. There is no sentry outside, which does not surprise me. André is quite confident in the protection his name grants him. I open the door in silence and enter peacefully. I initially believed that the princeling had chosen this place because he wanted to ransom its content, but I may have overestimated him. The smell of overwrought sex is pungent in here. The dark corners of the warehouse provided the group with long-awaited intimacy. I am confident that some of the ladies present will regret their decisions in a few months when the consequences grow too big to be hidden from their parents. The bearded man is the first to see me and he takes out a cudgel, only to stop in his tracks when he notices my appearance. Gradually, the assembly falls silent as they realize the presence of an intruder until André is forced to turn his attention away from the blonde woman's left nipple to address this new development. The hussy has the audacity to look at me with rage as she readjusts her top, furious about the interruption. Well, 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 says the imbecile as the men chuckle, are you lost, sweet thing? No, you are. This is a warehouse, not a club. Anger flashes in the man's eye. Would you kindly leave? My employer needs this place. The blonde woman whispers something in his ear with a sadistic smile and he nods. Some of the boys start jeering and complimenting my backside. The temptation to shred them all and bathe in their viscera grows by the minute, yet I successfully resist it. Why don't you stay a while and play a few games? Then we will consider your proposal. I will take this as a no and shall return tomorrow to see if you have changed your mind. I turn around to leave. Not so fast. I reach the door. Hey, you slut. George, get her. When George steps out, I am already gone. Now they know what their sin is, I just need to hand the punishment. So, what did you learn today, little sister? I sip slowly from the glass of water and try my best to ignore the cookie jar atop the kitchen counter. The familiar room is bathed in the reddish light of late afternoon. A stew slowly boils in the hearth. We learned about anatomy, and the various functions of organs. Big brother Akil scoffs. What do women need to know about such things? Women produce superior nurses and doctors. Nonsense. Well, I remember when cousin Sylvie lost her water on the carriage Montfort, and only one of us panicked, no? Alright. I guess. So, tell me. About organs. Well, there is for example, the liver. It cleanses the blood and it produces bile which is necessary for digestion. Is that so? And where is the liver situated? It's in the chest. Right side. Around here. I reply while pointing a finger at the middle of my chest, to the right. No. A bit higher. Well, let's find it together. Wait, what? I am bound spread eagle on the table now. My chest is bare. What is happening? Akil is approaching me with a sharpened pick. Wait, no, please. Please don't. Akil. It's for your own good, sister, that way you'll remember for sure. There it is. Aoeawag. There. We found it on the first try. Now, if you want to reach above your station to become a doctor, you can. No, please, stop. It hurts. Yes, but it will not kill you, as you are an abomination now. Good news, sister. And now, the pancreas. There. No, please. I take a deep breath and release it. What an unpleasant nightmare. My name is Ariane, I am my own. I will live, I will go home. I take another calming breath as the phantom pain of cold blades in my stomach makes me wince. I may no longer sweat, nor does my skin peel, but there is still a scent to my body. It is not entirely unpleasant, I suppose, but I will have to take a bath later when I return from the warehouse. Yesterday was strangely gratifying. I am already dressed when a new servant knocks on my door. Joan is resting and this one lacks courage. I suppose I can hardly blame her when I almost killed her predecessor. I know where I need to go. You may leave. I walk to the back of the property and the pens. There are a few isolated cages where the Lancaster stow the problematic cattle. Good evening, Blanche. Mistress Ariane. Please let me out. I promise I won't. I bring the blonde woman closer to me and hug her tight. After a night of sex with the princeling day out in the sweltering heat, she smells quite ripe. Her trousers are sticky with perspiration. I lick the 2 white scars on her neck, and she shivers with pleasure. I bite. I did not truly taste her yesterday, only marked her. It takes all my self-control not to kill her on the spot. It would be so easy. I wouldn't even be blamed. Something stops me, a sense of ownership. Blanche is my first cattle. Or at least she will be after a few more bites. It would just feel wasteful. I lick the wound clean and the thirst recedes in the background of my mind, like a patient tiger. Of course, Blanche, you know I only do this for your own good. Yes, mistress, MMH. I'm so sorry, we were just playing. I will tell Andre and he will understand, he is a good man. After you explain the situation to him, he will surely agree to leave. Naturally. I reply, smiling. I let my captive clean herself a bit in a water barrel as we wouldn't want to be stopped by the militia simply because of the smell. Before we set out, I stopped by Baudouin's office. Come in. Ah, Ariane, how may I assist? First, you could stop staring at my bottom every time I turn to close the door. I fear it is too late for me to amend my behavior, young one. You old pervert. In any case, I should return to the warehouse tonight and have them leave. What if they refuse? They will not. Baudouin raises a dubious brow but gives me leave to go, as well as the small knife I requested. I walk through the streets of New Orleans in a simple dress and a conservative hat, courtesy of Baudouin. I also carry the bracer and a leather satchel. The cunning man mentioned it yesterday as we were walking back, and he was right. Clothes and behavior really allow one to blend in. I change the way I walk to appear less confident by slightly bending my back, lowering my head and affecting a subdued expression. Soon, I fade in the background. Just another maid on an errand, nothing to see and no one to notice. It is a different sort of magic, the art of street artists and con men. The tricks of the mind. I find them exhilarating. We reach the warehouse quickly. There is no merriment tonight. The place is deadly silent, but not deserted. Andre is living in an illusion of his own making. His parents are feared and protect him, his friends are rich and admire him. Daughters of respectable families fall for his wealth and good looks and spread their legs for his personal enjoyment. He is living the life. Yesterday he founded the seat of his power in some fat merchant's warehouse. In his mind, they would have fun for a while then leave after being paid off, preferably before the place turns too rank, the first step towards the creation of his own criminal empire, perhaps. Then I came. Blanche stepped out at some point during the night to attend to some natural needs, with George keeping an eye out. I took him out with a small bite and kidnapped the girl. Bites make everyone pliable, if only for a while. I knock on the door and receive no answer. I can smell people inside. They expected me to return after yesterday's message. I need them out. Fending off an ambush at this stage would be tedious. Mistress? I am sorry, Blanche. I step back from the gate and grab her, then I break one of her fingers. What a beautiful voice she has. As expected, the door bursts open and what is left of the gang spills out in the streets with Andre at the head. Only 5 of them left. All men. This is truly pathetic. I force Blanche on her knees and grab her hair while she nurses her hand. Her quiet sobs are the only thing disturbing the silence. I appreciate the moment. I find it fascinating that real life would match fiction so deliciously. Here we stand, at the end of Act 3. The male lead bristles with rage while his loved one bemoans her fate. The trusty second's eyes grow wide at the sight of me. The seeds of the plot are ready to germinate and their battered group ready to implode. I shiver in pleasure. I am the playwright and I already know how it all ends, with my victory. Release her immediately. Or else. Yesterday, they would have rushed me with their eyes full of bloodlust. Tonight, they are weary, and broken. I took out their princess. She sits on the ground in front of me in defeat, and after one day of search, they fail to find her, to rescue her. Hours of rageful and enthusiastic inquiries, then the feeling of powerlessness. Reality came knocking and they didn't like it. They have already suffered the casualties of those who were there for the guilty pleasures and banter, but find street fighting and kidnappings too pedestrian. It is already over. Before Andre takes a step forward, I remove the knife from my satchel and apply the blade against Blanche's tender neck, hard enough to draw blood. No, mistress, please. I beg you. It is too much for the one remaining noble. He drops his saber and runs away. This leaves Andre, George and 2 henchmen. Laughable. You will pay for this, you whore. You have no idea who you are messing with. Andre Villemain, son of Gautier Villemain and Alice Wintraub. W.H. What? We know who you are, we know who your parents are, and we know what you have been up to. You came here high on pride and arrogance, thinking yourself untouchable. You thought wrong. Ah, but before we continue, this is a private conversation. The 2 of you. Leave us. The 2 henchmen look at each other and decide that it is not worth it. Now, only George and Andre remain. If you know my parents, then you should know that you have messed with the wrong man. Your parents disavowed your actions, Andre. They will not lift a finger. Even you are not worth a war with us. You lie. As long as you draw breath, Andre, they will not retaliate. This means that everything you own and everyone you know is fair game, starting with Blanche here. I move the knife just enough to elicit a cry of pain. No, please wait. Wait. I understand, all right. Let us all calm down. I will do it. I'll just leave. Hell, I will even compensate you for the damage. Just please, let her go. Oh. He cares more than I expected. A reasonable proposal. Sadly, it will not suffice. George. Yes. I do something. It is like drawing on a rope that is made of beads. The harder I pull and the more frayed my control grows. Still, a link is made. The bites I made yesterday sank something in their souls, and now I have limited control over them. For Andre's own good, bring him to me. What? Very well, mistress. George punches Andre, who collapses on the ground like a doll with its strings cut. He takes the man in a gentle hold and brings him closer. I can feel him fight me, but my request is reasonable so far, and George is a natural follower. The cold part of me enjoys itself, and I finally understand those Lancaster inbred. This is entertaining. Understand, young Andre, that there is more to the night than you could ever imagine. We can tolerate joyrides and brash statements, but this time you went too far. I am going to have to leave you with a reminder. I place the tip of the blade against the edge of his eye socket and carve downward. This will scar nicely, and since I am feeling generous, he can even keep the eye. Wait, what are you know? After I am finished, I calmly pocket the blade and stand up. And with this, we are done. I say as he sobs and grabs his carved cheek. My hold on George just broke, and Blanche's loyalty is tenuous despite the 2 bites. If I go any further, I will have to shed more blood than I planned. I expect the place to be cleared tonight. Farewell. I walk away. I can feel the tether that binds the 2 humans to me evaporate like morning dew with this symbolic gesture. I do not want to keep them with me, for the simple reason that they will be used as leverage by Melusine and the others. Any possession I gather must remain hidden, or it must be intangible. Like status. I will not let her use them against me. As soon as I am out of view, I hurry to the place where Baudouin and I first spied on the warehouse. You might as well come out. Smiling, the man himself walks out from a recess with his arms raised in mock surrender. I think a human could have passed him by 1,000 times without ever noticing him. I hope you do not take this as a sign of distrust. I sneer. And if I had turned the street red, Baudouin, what would you have done? Scream for the... I gasp as I am interrupted by a sudden and violent pain. It shakes my bones and rattles my teeth and leaves me trembling after a brief instant. What happened? I am sorry, Ariane, he says as he shows a golden band around his wrist. The tracking bracer can also be used to inflict pain and disable its victim, and before you use that vampiric alacrity of yours, know that the bracer will punish you, should you touch me. I hiss softly. What did I expect, that a clan full of liars and scoundrels would let me out of their house without a means to control me? Do not be too cross, little one. I will make it up to you. How? Before we begin, I have to ask. Why did you wait one day? Why the kidnapping? You want to know the reason behind my plans? Yes, I am assessing you as a potential long-term associate. I need someone to replace Ogotai, if only temporarily. Harold and Wilburn are ill-suited to tasks that require a brain. As Lady Moore's human servant, I can shield you from most of Melusine's petty vengeance should you take that role. Baudouin's expression turns to scorn at the mention of the other vampires. I am reminded that under his unsavory appearance, he hides a keen intellect. Also unsavory. I have the mistress' trust when running day-to-day affairs. So long I guarantee that you are better used solving problems than entertaining that arrogant twit, she will leave you be. I consider his words for a moment. Getting out means the Cotties can contact me more easily when the time comes. Can you truly protect me from Melusine? She does not strike me as one who easily admits defeat. She could just abuse you until you change your mind. When you realized I hurt you, how close were you to striking me down? Aye. Baudouin is right. The predatory part of me, the part that always pushes me to violence, was strangely silent. Vampires do not attack human servants directly unless they are desperate or unhinged. It is a rule that is engraved into your kind's minds from the day you wake up again. Your very instincts will try to stop you. He is right. I was not tempted to retaliate. How tainted has my mind become? Is it still even my own? Melusine shall not harm me, and she knows the price of annoying the mistress too much. Now, Ariane, do we have an understanding? I shall not do anything that would rob me of the little dignity I have left. I hope we are clear on this, Baudouin. Of course, Ariane, he smirks, would not force you to turn tricks. I have other agents for that. I hiss again, but my heart is not into it. Well. I sigh. It costs me little to explain my actions. This group was fractured from the start. The leader had 3 associates with a poor background. The rest were scions of affluent families playing rogue. It was easy to make them confront the reality of the night. After that the mood was ruined, so to speak, and I just had to pick the pieces. I see, and you judged that the best way to achieve this, to collapse their house of cards, was to abduct one of their members. Perhaps not the best but certainly the most expedient. Few things match kidnapping as a wake-up call. Not to mention that I wanted a snack. He laughs with abandon, then, walk with me. As we reach the brighter lights around the view care, Baudouin starts in a soft voice. You are nothing like I expected, you know. How so? I have seen many fledglings being reborn to this world. Most start off as mindless beasts, barely more than automatons. It is only after some time that they regain some semblance of humanity. You started as your old self and are now becoming more and more like a vampire. They are not, however, it is still quite rare. I cannot think of anyone who was quite so alive, as you were when I first saw you. I would prefer not to be reminded of this moment. He chuckles. There is also the issue with you being so weak. Lord Nirari managed to foster spawns that would go toe-to-toe with night squads in only a few years. Give me some time. He shakes his head. No, Ariane, I can already tell that you will not match this development speed. You are faster than most fledglings, and some courtiers, but your strength is almost human. I wonder how I can become more powerful. If I could be fast enough to dodge Melusine's dark powers and then grab her by the ankle and... I spent some time imagining the red-haired harridan slamming into walls until we reached the outskirts of the city. I then realized something. Baudouin. Yes. You said you used Ogotai for this kind of work. Indeed. His betrayal has caused quite a few problems, as you can imagine. Did you expect his treachery? No. I was stupefied when he found his spine. You see, Ogotai is centuries old. He has suffered abuse at the hands of the Lancasters for longer than I was alive. Perhaps Melusine sent him over the edge. Baudouin's laugh causes a few late revelers to turn. Ah yes, I can believe that. You see, Ogotai was part of a horde of warriors from the east who invaded Hungary. He made the mistake of hunting a local lord and the vengeance was what you guessed. Ogotai lacks something. He has never reached the rank of master and he never will, if he still lives. Can lords figure out the best candidates for new spawns? If some do, they keep it secret. Some clans heavily recruit mages as they keep some of their powers, but for the rest, I do not know. I do not know what makes one vampire much better than another. I see. When we reach the house, a servant hurries inside and a few moments later, Melusine gets out the door like a devil out of a box. It occurs to me that I failed to warn her that I would not attend her circus act of a lesson. Oops. She and Baudouin stare at each other and a silent message must have been passed, for soon Melusine retreats. As the door shuts, I catch a glimpse of her face. It is twisted by the blackest of rage. Your move, witch. A leafy canopy covers the forest's ground in shadows. I dart around trunks as large as carriages, doing my best to avoid the sunlight that stabs through here and there. The coverage is not perfect, and my skin is already covered in blisters. The cruel rays go straight through clothes as if they were not there. Ah! I scream and hiss, as yet another gust of wind moves branches and I am exposed to the cruel touch. You should give up, you are only delaying the inevitable. I want to make him shut up, but he stands in the light, mocking me. Here, he looks human and regal with his thick brown beard and noble posture, a true king of old. Your peers reject you, the humans reject you. Even the sun itself wants you gone from this world. I dodge and sprint, time is running out. The sun is already going down. The shadows lengthen. The nail that sticks out gets nailed down, after all. You are only prolonging your suffering. I need to keep going. I just have to reach the house. I will be safe inside. You think your family will welcome you? Idiot. You are not Ariane, though you stole her name for yourself. She died, that night, alone and broken. You are just the final insult to her memory. You lie. I am me. How can you be so sure? Have you seen yourself in a mirror? The sun is closing to the horizon, but I will never survive to twilight. The forest parts to expose me. At the last moment, I dive behind a tree and feel the bark to my back. The murderous rays start to twist around the trunk, and I yell when they reach the edges of my arm. You will forever be a pariah, Spawn, no matter how much you beg or bow. I start screaming. Several voices join the chorus calling me an outsider, then there is only fiery death. I awake and quickly repeat the now familiar sentence. I have been here for 2 months, 2 months of playing thug and errand girl. I am even building a bit of a reputation. I wonder why I have so many nightmares, and if the others do as well. Unfortunately, I would sooner stab myself in the foot with a rusty meat skewer than share this detail with anyone here. My questions will therefore remain unanswered, for now. The phantom pain coursing through my body ruins my meditation. I wish I could cry, but this is a function of the body that I find myself unable to force. I endure the memory of burning to a crisp for only a minute before it is replaced by a more powerful imperative. I wonder if older vampires treat the thirst as an old friend, or if they are all driven mad by it. Baudouin confirmed that fledglings consume more, especially the very young ones. I can only hope that I maintain a healthy self-control, at least long enough to grow out of infancy. Like every night, I take the time to bathe and dress properly. I battle the thirst with every bit of self-control I can muster to take the time to care for myself and my appearance. I even bought a comb. After a quick detour by the cages, I reach Baudouin's office. Ah, Ariane. Come in, come in. Good evening. I am ready for the meeting. Ah yes, well, unfortunately, you will not be attending. I freeze immediately. During my time here, I took my role as a spy quite seriously. I have listed all their warehouses, their banks, and business partners. Every key ally, every lie, and every weakness I have religiously catalogued. A sentence overheard, a confidential document left lying around, an unexpected visit, every activity is an opportunity to discover more. I have made reports that I have hidden well. If they fall in the hands of the Coddies, they will be able to strike those degenerates down with deadly accuracy. Hit them where it hurts the most, their pride, and their wallets. Has Baudouin discovered my stratagems? I thought I was careful. I even have an escape kit ready, hidden under the destroyed belfry of a derelict church. I found the irony delicious. Baudouin eyes me nervously. He does not know. He assumes I am mortally offended. This is not a punishment, in fact, I have something of a reward for you. Today, we had a situation. One of our whores made the unfortunate decision to laugh at a customer's privates. On Delors Street? No, the Red Veil, unfortunately. Ah. This is the Lancasters' high-end brothel, and that means the offended party is rich and powerful. The issue is that the man, a Simon Henley, took justice in his own hands and carved her up. That will not do. He is in his estate now, with half a dozen guards. You expect me to go there and intimidate him? No, Ariane, I expect you to kill him. He made some very public statements and demanded reparations. I cannot let this stand. How do you want this done? Do what you want. I will burn down the house when you are finished. The militia knows to avoid this place tonight. Can I get a gun this time? No, Ariane, my opinion hasn't changed, we do not use guns. Neanderthals. I harumph, then make for the exit. Then I will be on my way. Do enjoy yourself. As I exit the office, my eyes are inevitably drawn by a figure going down the stairs. Lady Moore does not belong here. This land is young and rakish. Its wealth is stolen from native tribes and torn from the earth by the labor of countless slaves, brought here against their wills in floating coffins. It is no place for complicated intrigue and veiled threats, at least, not yet. Her appearance reflects this. Even her dress is too warm for the suffocating weather. She ignores me and soon crosses the threshold, followed by a smug Melusine and Lambert the Everboard. They will attend a meeting with the representative of Clan Econ about some flesh market issue. I should have been there as muscle. It would have been an opportunity to meet them and perhaps know what the Coddies have been up to. Well, there is always a next time. I go back to my room to get changed and don a provocative attire with a shawl to hide my shoulders. Now I look like a streetwalker. If Papa would see me. No. I must wear this as an armor. My appearance is both a weapon and a bait. Simon Henley expects some reparation from a bordello, and this is what he will see, a suitable emissary. I will preserve my dignity according to my own rules, and clothes are no longer a concern. I leave the house with the bracer and a heavy bag, keeping to well-lit streets. I have enough stashed away to run for a while with what I picked during my errands. The problem is that I would be hunted down and eliminated even without the bracer. I need a clean escape. Since we are going to an expensive side of town and a woman alone would draw unneeded attention, a carriage has been made available. As we drive on, I am for once thankful for my cold body. Without it, the enclosed space would have been stifling. After a quarter hour or so, we stop in front of a manor and the carriage leaves. The Victorian-style house is without much embellishment, but the garden is impeccably maintained. Papa always said that understated signs of wealth are the mark of good breeding, and I have trouble reconciling the tasteful residence with the image of a man who would disfigure a whore because she laughed at his manhood. Perhaps this was built and maintained by his father. I cross the deserted entrance and arrive in front of a pair of wooden doors. At this time of the night, there should be lights and servants about, but the place is suspiciously silent. I find myself growing wary. I knock on the door and it opens immediately. A rough-looking man with a scowl inspects me in silence. I curtsy. They are expecting me, it seems. With a grunt, the man invites me in. This is it. I could start killing right away, but something stops me. The guard is armed with a truncheon and no other visible weapon. He is no danger to me. Something else is. Just like vampires have a cold aura, I feel something bright and colorful, and it comes from deeper into the house. I am curious. What could it possibly be? I follow the guard into a modest ballroom covered with a plush carpet. Large windows adorn the wall opposite the entrance, and there is only one door, the one I came from. On my left, a few seats have been gathered and 4 hard men stop their game of cards to take a gander at the newcomer. On my right, next to a piano of good make, stands the master of the house. He sits atop a leather throne that was brought here for the occasion. A flagon of spirits rests on a small coffee table to his side, and next to him stands a bodyguard who immediately captivates me. He is tall and muscular with a trimmed beard and wears on him enough weapons to take over a small town. I count no less than 2 pistols and 7 daggers at first glance. He even wears a helmet, indoors, like some uncouth savage. The colorful aura comes from him. Our eyes meet and he gives me the most peculiar of smiles. "Why don't you take a seat?" asks Simon Henley, pointing to a modest chair in front of him. He is dressed in an expensive shirt and jacket that do little to hide his gut. His pale skin is the worm-flesh white of people who do not leave their house during the day. It is also covered in clammy perspiration. His gray eyes do not meet mine. He is scared out of his mind. Everything is wrong. The thugs should be leering or indifferent, not wary. Henley should be smug and arrogant, not terrified. The last man does not belong here. My instincts and intellect unite in the firm belief that this is a trap. Worse, the bodyguard probably knows what I am and he is convinced he can take me on. I remember the followers of Gabriel assaulting the keep. They, too, had a plethora of arms and the training to use it. They did not have an aura. This man is a mage. If I take this seat, I am dead, again. This will not happen. I step towards it and kick it into the pair. The mage easily dodges, but Henley takes it in the face and collapses with a muffled scream. I move back, and not 1 second too soon. Seal. A white light erupts in a circle where the chair used to be and misses me by a hair. The room erupts in chaos and yells. The mage takes out a gun and fires it at me. I finish my movement by falling on the floor. The bullet misses me. I end up at the feet of a stupefied guard. I stand up and claw his throat in one movement. The geyser of blood distracts the other 3. His blood stinks, there is something wrong with it. I hiss and grab a second guard to use a shield. An instant later something bites into my side. What? I stare down in disbelief. There is a large gash on my waist. The dress is torn apart to reveal shredded flesh seeping dark red blood. The man I used as a shield screams, dying. The mage shot his own ally. Something pings on the floor and I instinctively look at it just as it detonates. A thunderous explosion, and a white light blind me, deafen me. I drop the man to grab my maimed eyes. Hurt, need to escape. Can't see. Behind me, cover. I move backwards and grab the edge of the poker table. With a grunt, I flip it and jump behind. I move to the side as something roars. Someone bumps against me and falls. I find a shoulder, a throat. I slash it open. The blood smells wrong again. The bottle of wine that was on the table smells wrong too. Something they drank. I can hear better now, but my eyes still hurt. There are windows. Escape. I grab a body and blindly rush to the wall. Can find. Can break through. None of that. Seal. Something bumps against me. It does not hurt, but it pushes me back with incredible strength. I crash against the table and it breaks under me. A shard stabs into my back. It hurts. So thirsty. Can't stay here. I crawl away from the mage. Waist hurt. Back hurt. Bleeding. Need blood, but it all smells wrong. Ah, I can finally see again. I turn myself as a throwing knife whistles past my shoulder and buries itself in the carpet. Finally, a decent weapon. I remove the shard of wood in my back. It did not go deep. The mage throws more daggers and once more I use bodies and the table to dodge and block. I grab one blade in each hand, then I throw a third one at him. It pings against his armor. The man is still smiling, he unsheathes a saber and a short blade and rushes me. I manage to stand up to meet him in the middle of the room. I realize very soon that this was a mistake. I may be faster than the mage, but in everything else, he has the advantage. His reach is longer, and his technique superior. He deflects my strikes with precise and conservative movement. I am completely outmatched. Soon, I have a new long gash in my wrist, and I drop a blade. I cannot move my hand. I am not healing at all, and I am so very thirsty. I cannot get out. The pain becomes too much. I have one last quick move in me, but after that, I shall be helpless. I have to make it count. And what is that delicious smell? Blood. It comes from Henley. I need to fire whip. A red snake twists around my useless hand. My flesh immediately starts to smolder. I scream in agony and lash out with the last knife I have. Fortunately, whatever made his blade so painful also breaks the spell. I collapse on the ground shrieking. I can't stay there, I need to move, but it hurts so much. Predator says. Yes, viable plan. Implement. Well, guess I have to find a knight next. Now, I was told that piercing the heart will incapacitate your kind. At least I can put that theory to the test. Yes, pray, come closer. I dare say killing that werewolf turned out to be more arg. I move. I stay low, grab a knife and bury it behind the knee. Weak point. Now spring up his back, grab around with my claws. Pulse. Something propels me backward and I smash into the coffee table and Henley's inanimate body. So delicious. You'll pay for this. I was going to make it quick, but now I think I'll burn you alive. Ah. Shit. Just you wait. I am feeding from Henley, my back to the mage when something happens. I can feel all of my fangs pull. The strength I draw multiplies tenfold, 100-fold. This time there is no bliss. This time, there is only life, and the strength I need to survive. This time I do not feed. I devour. It takes less than 4 seconds for Henley to die. As the last of his life force is torn away from his body, I feel a temporary burst of power. The pain is still there, as is the thirst. It just does not matter so much anymore. So this man is a hunter. He thinks I am game. I am no beast. I am a vampire. I pull myself up and find the mage applying bandages to his wounded leg. His disbelief turns to horror at the sight of my face. Blood is still dripping. I give a ghastly smile. Then I throw the corpse at him. I put my hips into it and the body flies. The mage swears and ducks. I jump and fly with claws forward. I crash against him and send him on his back. I claw and lash, trying to reach his face. His armored bracers stand in the way, but I manage to score hits in unprotected places. Shy. None of that. I use one hand to push both of his arms towards me and stab a finger in his cheek. I rake his face. Blood flows. Still smells wrong. I am weakening. I can feel him struggling to get something. I can't fight much longer. My strength is already waning. He pulls something that roars. I feel cold punching through my stomach. I ignore the armed hand and deflect the other. I put one thumb against his eye and push. With a ghastly crunch, the eyes pop and I bury my fingers to the hilt in his skull. Fluid splurts on my face. The blood in them is. It smells horrible, but there is so much power in there. It is fading quickly. I bite deep and take a swallow. The blood is potent, it is also laced with something that ravages my throat. The balance is barely in favor of the blood. I punch his face, once, twice, 3 times. The pain catches up to me and I collapse on the mangled corpse. Everything hurts. I have not felt this bad since my death. Then, all feelings fade. I feel strange. Pain is a distant thing and so is the thirst. I expected to turn into a ravening beast, but it appears that I am, in fact, sated. Wounded, but sated. I can only draw strength from the red nectar so fast. The edge of my vision is growing darker and I remember. This is what dying was like, back when it happened the first time. The sensation of slipping, of letting go. Nom de Dieu, c'est un cauchemar. Ah. I remember now, we only killed 3 of the 4 guards, the mage and I. Monstre. Demon. The last one must have cowered in some corner. I do not blame him. He is growing a spine now, though. He took a knife. He is getting closer. I absolutely cannot move. I am so cold. Slumber calls to me. I could just close my eyes and forget, and yet dying is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Well, twice in my case. I would rather not miss it. And now somebody knocks on the ballroom's door. The guard squeals and jumps like a scalded maid. Heh. A black woman walks in. A vampire. She is dressed in leather pants and a tight white shirt. How unladylike, although to be fair, she is not bearing her midriff to the world like I am. Well, color me impressed, she says with a fanged smile. Everything about the woman is predatory. Her walk, her posture, her mouth, they all speak of danger, but also of elegance. I am convinced that many men would deem her worth the risk. Who or why? The man does not finish his sentence. The newcomer unsheathes a dagger and with a casual swipe, slices his throat open. She did not even grace him with a look. I can see the tubes, and smell the fouled liquid. How vexing. I can barely perceive the woman passing by. So very tired. Just need to close my eyes for a moment. Stay with me, young one. I blink my eyes open as something straddles me. The woman is here. She rubs her thighs on my stained dress, making herself comfortable. Then, she extends one hand and digs inside my chest. Burke. Look at me, follow my voice. I stare in chocolate brown eyes twinkling with mischief. She is doing something, but I am too weak to act. Nothing hurts, it just feels like you are surrounded by fluffy pillows. Something pulls on my stomach, but I feel no pain. A moment later, the strange woman is inspecting a silver ball held in a blood-soaked hand. She whistles. Nice catch, darling. Is it? I frown. You are comfortable, yes. Am I? I guess I am. I feel like taking a nap, but something is holding me conscious. How peculiar. So, did you know Jasper, the tracker? Who? I guess not, sweet cheeks. I'm talking about that mage who almost killed you. I assume it is he, seeing that the head is mostly gone. Nasty man. He had a habit of hunting monsters and people for sport, regardless of guilt. This time, he bit off more than he could chew. Pun intended. I see. You are too quiet, my little honey pot. Let me help you. She takes out a small canteen from her jacket and empties some of its content around my mouth. The burning sensation I had forgotten is simply washed away. She dabs at the damp spot with a clean tissue. I tentatively lick my lips. I am still sluggish, but now I can talk. Good evening. The woman looks dumbfounded before exploding into laughter. Aya, my little duckling, so precious. I am Naminata, but you can call me Nami. Nami. So, why are you here anyway? I assume you were not tracking the tracker. Talking is tiring. I slightly turn my head to the broken chair and the corpse beside it. Oh, that swine. You are the one who killed him, yes. Well done. I could not have entered this house otherwise. She leans forward. The distance between us grows intimate, and when she licks her lips, I shudder. I know you don't want to stay with those Lancaster bastards. You want in with us. One word to Kuku and he will marry you. We could use un autre go, ma petite chérie. Now that my gut is free of bullets, I can feel my body struggle to heal itself. The torpor is receding a bit, replaced by pain and a renewed thirst. I still cannot do more than shake myself a little. Never again GGGH. At the mercy of another. The smile falls from her face, to be replaced by regret and a little bit of shame. I recognize her now that my mind is clearer. She was with the representative of Clan Econ when I escaped the fortress. She stays silent for a while. We do not move. I am starting to drift. A hand pats my head softly. The sharp claws brush through my hair with a gentle touch, parting the strands without snagging them. The effect is so soothing that I shiver and relax. SSH, all right little one. I am sorry. I forgot. Very well, I shall let you go with a little gift. As an apology for my tactless offer. My eyes are closed, but suddenly I can smell something. It is a fragrance like wet earth and spice, an exotic scent, something to dance and sing to. I wonder how it feels. Come on, bite. I feel soft skin against my lips. The perfume grows hauntingly strong. I am so thirsty. This is not exactly what I need, but it will help. My fangs pierce her skin. This is so different from a human. There is no rush, no ecstasy of life. I barely get any energy, and whatever I obtain feels sluggish. No heartbeat drives vitality into my aching body. What I get instead is power. If life is the thing that perpetuates my damned existence, what I get now is the essence that lets me do impossible things. I can feel myself growing noticeably more powerful. I suppose that I am so weak now, that every little bit counts. There was something similar with the mage. Drinking from magical creatures makes me stronger. I finally understand the reason why the other spawns are so much more dangerous than me. My master feeds them the blood of powerful things, and possibly his own. Their quick growth must ravage their mind and turn them into the natural disaster that they are made to be. How dreadful. Baudouin said that vampires grow in power with age, implying that the devourer and his spawns draw power from the things they feed on, much more so than the other bloodlines. I am not quite sure that this is common knowledge. I am however certain that no one knows how significant that is, here in Louisiana, and I fully intend to keep it that way. I am afraid that some would cull me before I become a threat, if they found out. That is enough little one, says a sultry voice. I obediently licked the wound clean. This experience was far too intimate for my liking. I fear that Nami stole my first kiss, or whatever the vampiric equivalent is. Aya, I so love to walk on the edge. But enough of this, ma chérie. I shall recover Mr. Jasper here, and I will be on my way. A buoyant, tea. With Nami's departure, something snaps and I immediately lose consciousness. No, please Akil, please. I told you sister, it won't help. A ghastly wind blows through desiccated sugar canes, throwing ash and dust into the air. The sky is so darkened by smoke that I cannot tell the time. Please, I am so thirsty. Please. Akil carries the only flask of cold water around. He drinks from it from time to time. I can almost feel it on the tip of my tongue, so tantalizingly close. It's all your fault, you know. If only you had died correctly, we could have had closure, but even this you could not manage. A blast of air blows embers on my tattered dress. The red dots settle on me and smoke starts to rise. I can already feel the heat burning my skin. I struggle, but I am restrained. My arms are held up by chains attached to a wooden mast dug deep into the ground. The familiar log cabin taunts me with its safety, but it is so far, I can barely see its charred walls. They still stand. Akil. You do not believe me. Very well. Try it yourself. My brother approaches. His wide shoulder and muscular body used to be a sign of comfort, but now it is a threat. I feel like he would gladly shatter bones and bruise flesh with strikes from his meaty hands, but he does not. Instead, he brings the canteen to my parched lips. Yes. At last. The cold liquid rushes past my mouth, finally. It tastes like fresh mountain water. I gulp greedily, yet nothing happens. What? I told you it would not work. Only pain and misery will sate you now, you horror wearing my sister's skin. Have it then. Gorge yourself on it. Monster. Akil takes out a hunting knife and slowly places it against his jugular. Wait. Akil, no. What are you doing? The knife slices down and a veritable geyser of blood splashes all over me and the ground. He is going to die if I don't. I need it so much. I am hurt, and so very thirsty. Thirsty. Nga. Ah, the pain. What? Where is my respite? Where is my minute of introspection? I cannot move. I crack open my eyes. I am attached to my bed by thick ropes that twist around me and the mattress. I am still wearing the remnants of yesterday's dress under the layers of twine. It smells ripe. My face is coated with dried blood that cracks as I move. This is amateur work. I can free myself in a few minutes and hunt someone to drink dry. I squirm and the pain redoubles. My stomach lances me so much I could believe I have been shot once more. Ah, this is it. I must not have healed completely from yesterday's ordeal. If I had been alive, such a wound would have killed me within an hour. I would have gasped my last in a pool of my own blood and offal. There are some benefits to this cursed life after all. I hear footsteps just as I manage to sever the first knots with a talon. The door opens to reveal Lady Moore. Hussy. Is that defiance I see on your face, fledgling? This is no time for confrontation. I will escape, and much, much later, I will wipe that expression from her face. No, mistress. I will not let arrogance destroy me. I realized yesterday that mortals are fortunate when it comes to pain. There is only so much damage a person can take before one's body gives up, unless they are under the care of a particularly talented torturer, I suppose. Vampires, on the other hand, can take so much abuse. Enough to drive one insane. I may be stronger than yesterday, but I am still a sparrow to Lady Moore's eagle. I need much more time before I can even compare. I shall be patient. I must be patient. I will be feared like master, even if it takes me 1,000 years. I will see that pretentious wench broken before me. Baudouin had assured me that you made yourself useful. However, I now believe that you played him, you filthy little trollop. He does not know your kind as I do, too used to dealing with mortals, I suppose. Now, you will tell me all the dealings you have had with Clan Econ. What? I have no arrangement with Clan Econ. Is that so? Yes. None whatsoever. Then how do you explain that Naminata was seen exiting the building we found you unconscious in? This was the first time I saw her since the fortress. I explain what happened yesterday with the exception of my increased strength, such as it is. You said that you killed this Jasper man. Alone and unarmed. I was not entirely unarmed. I used his throwing knives. She scoffs, her carmine lips twisted by disdain. Picking up a mortal weapon like a beggar with no dignity. Now this story is suddenly more believable. And whose fault is it that I ended up in harm's way equipped with a shawl? Bah! This woman would not know intellectual honesty if it slapped her in the face with a rotten catfish. Although. Did she just imply that she cannot recognize lies from the truth? That is tremendous news. It means I can hide my little conspiracy from her. I still have to be careful, for she would not have survived this long without being crafty. Not with that attitude, at least. But to expect someone of your lineage to be honest? You must think me daft, girl. I assure you that there are no arrangements between Clan Econ and myself. I even refused Naminata's proposal. Ha! I knew it. And what proposal would that be? I did not mean to say that. My anger got the best of me yet again. To marry Lord Kuoku. Ha! Ha ha ha, how it must have been tempting, you shameless harlot. Freedom at the tip of this savage's member. What stopped you? The perspective of only being the second wife? HSSS. It appears that Jimena was wrong. Vampires are racist, just not to each other's face. Indeed, it appears that I was mistaken to believe you crafty enough to make such an arrangement. You certainly possess some form of low cunning, however, it is not enough to successfully plot against us. I remain silent. I finally see the end of my torment. I just want the insufferable woman to take her leave so that I may hunt in peace. A betrayal is not to be borne, however, no matter how small. I am quite certain that your addled brain came up with some scheme, and I shall hear of it now. What? You have a plan to escape. You must have, and I will hear it when you are ready to share. Not to worry, girl, I brought some light reading to entertain myself while we wait. You must understand that in my veins runs the blood of kings. Those who have been brought up in such high spheres know the best tools to achieve the intended result, without ever having to sully their hands. In this specific instance, the tool is patience, and so we shall wait. Lady Moore ignores my protests. She sits on my chair, at my own desk, and takes a book from a small bag, which she then proceeds to read. I shuffle in discomfort. My stomach is still quite painful, if not as much as before. My thirst, however. It starts from the chest, at the height of my arm. It spreads up and down until it reaches my throat and tummy. It is an itch, a burn, and a craving. There is nothing like it, and no human experience can quite compare. When I was a child, I held a heavy plate for as long as I could. At first, it felt easy, then uncomfortable, then painful until finally, it became almost unbearable. If I held longer, my entire existence had to be limited to the task. The situation is somewhat similar, in the same way that being stung by a bee is similar to being stabbed by an enchanted silver dagger. After a few minutes, I would roll around and fight the bindings openly, the pain in my stomach forgotten. I could not help myself. After half an hour I was hissing and grunting. Lady Moore had heavy chains brought by a smirking Charlotte, and I was held up like in a cocoon. After that, I lasted only a few more pages before starting to beg. Anything I want. Yes. Yes. Just, please. Please. Your arrangements with Clan Econ, I would hear of them now. There are no arrangement YUARG. But you do have a place to escape. Well. Yes. Yes, damn it, I do. I have a plan. And what is that plan of yours? I have money put away. I will take it and go. There is barely enough sanity in me left to throw away my most desperate plan. I will use it as bait, as a sacrifice. You stole from us. And no, mistress, I took money from your foes. The people in the warehouse. The swordfish gang, the rapists and the dodgers. I took their money. PFFF. Ha ha ha, oh, a war prize. Oh, this is just too precious. Very well, you might be slightly more cunning than I gave you credit for, but I must ask, how did you expect to survive the following manhunt? Well, there is enough money to take a night coach. I would run afterward. I was referring to the bracer, you harebrained bumpkin. Yes. I was going to cut off my arm. Oh. This is just getting better and better. Why, I should thank you for tonight's entertainment, my dear. I have paid fortunes and laughed less. You seriously intended to mutilate yourself? I know we can regrow limbs. That is technically correct, and also completely irrelevant, as expected of you. You simply fail to understand the reality of your existence. You are no true spawn of the devourer, mad with power and thirst. You are just a lost fledgling abandoned by her sire who thinks herself tough enough to do what it takes to escape. You are not, and since I am a benevolent mistress, I will educate you this instant. She walks to me and takes out a wicked dagger from a recess of her robe. The weapon is terrifying. It is black as obsidian and strangely curved. I have never seen such a thing before, yet one look at it is enough to know it was designed to slay humans. She raises it and I flinch, but she just frees my hands, and then removes the shackles. The rest of my body remains trapped. Well, I had almost forgotten your stench. I only have myself to blame. In any case, take it. She gives me the dagger hilt first and I grab it before thinking. I could just cut the rest of the rope and get some blood. Cut off your arm here and now and I shall let you drink someone dry, then I will give you your freedom. What? You heard me. Should you successfully cut off your arm, you can leave. This is my blade. It can cut through metal. Even an untrained mortal could decapitate a foe in 2 strikes using it, so slicing through an arm is a small matter. Doubt assails my mind through the numbing thirst. Could it really be this easy? There are no traps. Go on. Try it. I extend my left arm and brandish the blade. And I realize the issue. I am terrified of pain. I have suffered a lot in the past few months and one would think it would make me used to it. It does not. I do not want to be hurt. I do not want to bleed. But I must try. I have to. This is my best shot at freedom. I turn my eyes towards the master vampire at my side. She has a patient and slightly condescending look on her face. She seems so certain that it is impossible for me. I will show her. I take a deep breath, grit my teeth and move to strike with all the speed and strength I can muster. I will hack down and slice before my brain can register what I have done. My hand falls down and begins to quake. Oh. My. God. Can't move. Can't think. Hurts. Blade grates against the bone, buried deep. I keep screaming and holding my arm, with the knife still in it, for some time. The agony washes my mind free of anything but the blinding pain itself. The world turns white. There is only suffering. Eventually, another voice pushes through the dry sobs. Well, you managed to reach the bone. Here, let me help a bit. A hand pushes the blade down in a resounding crack and I lose consciousness for a few moments. When I come to, the knife is halfway through my arm. Blood slowly seeps on the stained sheets. The only sounds are my whimpers. You are halfway there, though arguably this was the easy half. Well, will you continue? Take your time. Too much pain. Too much pain and too thirsty. I should continue, but I simply cannot. It hurts too much. I am not some hero out of a story, who can just ignore pain and adversity. I am not strong enough. I don't want to do it. I don't want to feel this torment. It will have to be the Coddies. I am only lucky that Lady Moore forfeited a full interrogation in favor of humiliation. It seems that being looked down upon remains my greatest asset, for now. I would feel sorry about myself, but I am in too much agony for even that. Should I take it out? I nod. Yes, God please, just make it stop. Make everything stop. I feel like crying, but I will not let go of the shreds of dignity I am still clinging to. Lady Moore removes the knife, and to her credit, she does it cleanly. The wound does not heal, and I vainly hold my mangled arm to prevent more of the precious liquid from flowing away. So thirsty. I can't take it anymore. She drags me to the cattle pens, and I feed on 2 victims one after the other. Something changed. I notice that the sky outside of my mind refuge has turned dark. I should perhaps be worried, yet how could a vampire find daylight soothing? This is no more than I deserve. After we are done, Lady Moore drags me back inside and throws me on the carpet. I can hear a snicker from Harold, who watches me from the stairs. Those jackals are ever eager to witness someone else's humiliation. My devoted Melusine tried to turn you into an acceptable courtier, however you preferred to be with the dregs. Now, unless you want to help with the gauntlet, you will work in a position that suits you better. More specifically, on your back. Gauntlet. I croak. I beg your pardon. Gauntlet. I repeat with more conviction. Whatever it is still better than the fate she has in mind right now. If Lady Moore is angered by my refusal, I see no trace of it. Very well. The gauntlet it is. I was mistaken in believing I knew everything about the Lancasters' various businesses. I used my free access to Baudouin's office to copy a few documents, including quarterly reports to the head of the Lancaster, in Old English no less. I knew about the plantations, the factories and warehouses. I knew about the inns and brothels. I knew about the slave and flesh trades. I even knew about the occasional contraband. Of course, they would hide something so that it is not taxed, and so I did not know about the blood sports. New Orleans landed gentry is proving to be an utter disappointment. Their unusual tastes have created a demand for the most horrendous of spectacles. 2 to 3 times per week, men and sometimes even women, are given the opportunity to be freed of debt or punishment in exchange for a night of combat. Should they survive, of course. Ladies and gentlemen in expensive suits and domino masks travel by coach to one of Lancaster's villas, walk through a cleanly cut maze of grass and sit with refreshments on the slope of a Greek-style amphitheater. An entertainer dressed in a toga and a full-face helmet loudly proclaims the night's program. The arena also employs a few prizefighters to guarantee some modicum of quality in the art of killing. Oh. HSSS. I breathe slowly. I do not need air anymore, but there is something in the cycles of breathing that provides the soothing rhythm I need to stay focused. Inside, the log cabin has changed. It is no longer comically large, like I remember it as a child. The building is simply more spacious with some semblance of furniture. The cot has turned into a bed with a canopy that reminds me of my own, before I became what I am now. The smell of wood smoke and fresh rain is just as prevalent as before. I let the light of the moon caress my skin from an open window and stare outside to endless fields of thorny trees. I do not recognize their essence and I know they should look menacing, but I feel protected. Safe. Nobody will cross this expanse to harm me. They would be turned to bloody shreds in the labyrinthine forest. I have not stepped outside yet. I am not ready. I keep breathing. In and out. In and out. I just need to last a little longer. The thirst will not make me throw myself against the bars. Never again. I have been here for 2 weeks, and it only happened twice. A clanging sound interrupts my meditation. Harold is opening the door to my cell. I can feel his hungry eyes on my body, and I am once more thankful to Baudouin for his parting gift. He left clear instructions that I am not to be touched inappropriately, an order that the male vampire has yet to disobey. When I kill every last one of them, I will be sure to make the human's death painless. It's time, says the brute. I adjust my half mask and tighten the leather armor I wear. They are part of my public persona. I am, to the spectators, a Himalayan tribeswoman cursed with a taste for blood who fights without a blade. Yes. How they swallowed this much nonsense, I shall never know. We walk through a short corridor to the arena's gate. Harold stays mercifully silent the whole time. Just a few more minutes. I can do it. The gates open and I cross the threshold. The night smells of sweat, arousal, sand, and stale blood. In front of me, a burly man in a kilt and ancient helmet wipes his wounded shoulder with a stained piece of fabric. The corpse of a starved wolf lies a few feet farther. Ladies and gentlemen. Demetrius won his daughter's freedom, can he repeat the exploit for the rest of his family? Will you grant him your favor against the blood beast? Seriously. I raise my eyes to the skies and find the purple shape of the silent watcher. The twisted heaven grows closer as I am made aware of its presence. It does not judge. That is all I can perceive, and at the moment, it is all that I need. I bask in the eldritch light and savor the simplicity of the eye's intent. The raging thirst slides in the background, if only for an instant. My only valued companion is a gigantic eye in the sky. This says a lot about my current social standing. 5 lives, I have 5 lives, who will give me a 6th? No. 5 lives it is. May the game begin. The man grabs a trident and I finally notice a discarded net lying around. Baudouin must have gone for the Roman angle, as I recognize the attire of a retiarius. That would make Harold a lanista, the master of ceremony in a Roman circus, and me an idiot. The man charges me with a grunt and thrusts the trident awkwardly. I easily push the shaft aside and stab a claw in his shoulder wound before dancing away. I lick my bloodied finger for all to see. And we are 1 life down already. The blood beast teaches yet another lesson. The man howls in pain. The crowd roars in approval. I want to consume the prey. He tastes so sweet. Fear does that, it brings life to the surface. I must remain patient. My opponents have lives. Instead of going for a killing blow, I am to merely hurt them until they run out of it. Spectators can throw money to purchase an additional life for a contender, or they can pay that same amount to remove one. To win, they only have to draw blood. For me, the game is slightly different. I could finish the fight in an instant by moving, however, I have 2 objectives: provide entertainment, and spend as little resources as possible doing so. If I rouse the spectators, then Harold lets me feed on the defeated a little bit longer. On off days, the cattle arrives a little bit faster. If I am defeated, or if I am too fast or too brutal, pain and the thirst follow. If Harold punishes me for no reason, I immediately kill my opponent. There is a balance of terror in our relationship. I successfully made myself too valuable to kill and too difficult to control. The failed retiarius finally recovers from the pain and grabs the trident firmly with 2 hands, like an oversized sword. He swings at me menacingly a few times, but I do not move. I can recognize the most obvious feints now. Out of patience, the man swings at my head and I dodge down and forward to close the distance. He reacts in an instant by dropping the unwieldy weapon and punching forward. He is much faster now, and I barely manage to block. The impact pushes me back. My arm stings a bit. He immediately jumps on me, but this time, I was expecting it. I sidestep his bull rush and stab a talon in his side as he goes by. Not too deep. The man and the crowd roar at the same time as I lift a finger high. I lick it again. I cannot wait much longer. And that is too. Is hope quickly fading for Demetrius? Can he make the monster bleed? Monster is a code word by the announcer to tell me to slow down. Drag the fight. I am so thirsty, surely they would understand. As Demetrius stands up, a heavy object buries itself at his feet with a thud. Silence descends upon the arena. Throwing objects, and particularly weapons inside is ground for removal. Who would dare to? Ah! A petite woman in a blue dress and a checkered mask waves her hand at me. Her crimson hair bobs up and down with her giggles. Melusine. The announcer recovers faster than me. Mistress. Do you grace Demetrius with your blessing? She waves lazily and sits down. The dismissal is so well done that all the attention returns to him and forces his hand. Very well. Demetrius, you have been given a second chance. Do not disappoint this noble assembly. I watch, speechless, as the gladiator picks up the massive knife and draws another one from his boot. So, not a retiarius gladiator anymore. A dimacarus? Those are the ones who use two swords if I remember properly. I fall back before my opponent. It is obvious that he knows how to use those. His posture is different and he feels so confident. I see no opening. I dodge a slice, another. On the third, I try to grab his arm but his second blade lashes out. I barely avoid the bite. His moves are much more conservative and efficient. Melusine broke the rules to make the fight more difficult, and I know well that she will receive no more than a slap on the wrist for this transgression. I slip to the side and sprint to my left. Demetrius easily keeps up with me, then I reverse course and rush forward. Caught off guard, the gladiator stumbles. His weight makes it harder for him to change direction quickly. As I pass him by, he slashes the air. The blade slides against my armor with a scratch, a glancing blow that draws no blood. I roll forward and grab the discarded trident. As he jumps at me again, I swing the massive weapon and smash it against his side. He crumples in a heap. The crowd yells in approval, delighted at my quick thinking, such as it is. Uhu, it appears that our valiant Demetrius still looks down upon the blood maiden. 3 down, 2 left. I lick the outer prong. Very little blood. Not sharp. Soon. Have to wait. The trident is not yours. Once again, Melusine's voice silences the intoxicated mob. Oh no, she did not. I am not to speak so. Instead, I tilt my masked helmet to the side, hold the polearm like a javelin and throw it at her. Melusine's eyes widen in disbelief behind her checkered mask. She barely manages to fall to her side and the weapon hits the stone behind her with a loud clang. I threw it shaft first, as a precaution. Yup, it's yours now. Your move, you insufferable daughter of a hag. Melusine shivers in rage, but she already broke the rules twice for her own enjoyment. She is on thin ice, and she knows it. Fuming, she sits back down and I turn to the prostrate gladiator with a small scoff. I make sure she notices. Now that my anger dies down, the thirst once more takes over. The wait is the worst. I am easily distracted from the craving, but I do need something to focus on. I walk a bit and when my preparation is done, I stand in front of the panting gladiator. I wait. Perhaps I cracked his ribs. It is always the same insults with them. No lily-livered wenches, no unable worms and threefold fools. Has no one told them that variety is the spice of life? F for my boy, says he, as he stands up, quite audibly too. The crowd erupts in cheers. The narration of the moment crystallizes in their sick minds. Here is the criminal with the good heart fighting for his family's freedom. There, the cold maiden from the tribe at the dawn of time, the remnant of an archaic world ere the fairer sex could wield blades as sharp as their tongue. I care not. I am Ariane, I am my own. I will live, I will go home. All those who stand in my way, be they saints or criminals, I will devour. There is an art to throwing a net. You have to make sure it is as wide as can be when it lands. Demetrius recoils in panic and raises his hand in reflex. The net wraps around him beautifully and I draw a furrow in his left cheek with a talon. Yes. We are finally reaching the conclusion to this farce. The crowd is silent now as the last act is about to open. The desperate man fumbles for a while and finally manages to get free. He immediately rushes me with a desperate roar. I stand my ground as the crowd watches with bated breath. When the knives reach me, I step backwards and grab both arms, let myself fall, put a foot against his belly and push. That is a neat trick. The big man is propelled like a derailed locomotive and crashes against the arena's wall in a fracas of metal. I am on him in an instant. I lock one arm with a leg, the other with my right arm. I pull his head back and bite deep. Finally. Wait. No, this is wrong. I know that stench. That Jasper ruffian used the same concoction. How? A mage potion? How? When? There on the ground, a glass vial. He must have drunk it as he was fumbling under the net. But who would give it to him? I spit out. Livid, I turn around and point an accusatory finger at Melusine. She was bent forward in anticipation. I knew it. You whore. You tainted the blood. Whispers and murmurs break among the crowd, growing in a crescendo. How dare she? How dare she pollute the precious substance? Pain from the bracer makes me collapse. Harold comes and picks me up before retreating to the corridor. I need it. I need it, need it, need it. When Harold brings me another prisoner, it takes all my self-control not to kill the whimpering sod on the spot. 2 weeks later. There are no signs of Melusine, and I can only assume that she was reprimanded for her idiotic display. Fights remain difficult but I am fed enough to remain sane. Mostly. 3 weeks later. The man facing me is an old French sailor with graying hair and nose flattened by repeated fractures. Non, you must move better. I show. Marius is quite popular with the crowd, especially when he uses a ridiculous harpoon as a spear. He fights dirty and I learn a lot from him. We have an off night and I want to pick up a few tricks. God knows I could do better. This is unladylike, but I will do almost anything to survive. 4 weeks later. Marius is dead. He was killed by a downed debtor who stabbed him in the back after the fight had ended. On a positive note, I got to drink the shameless prick dry. I had a new fighter, an Italian lout, show me how to use a knife. 5 weeks later. The Italian lout made a name for himself as Benedetti. His knife-wielding technique and rakish looks apparently made him popular with widowed female spectators. I am fighting a bit less as a result. We also picked up a coolie called Long. He calls himself a martial artist. He moves well but fights too clean. 6 weeks later. I lost my first match in a while against a desperate fighter, a cavalryman of some repute apparently. He managed to stab my arm using a suicidal attack. The crowd loved it. I think he may even survive. 7 weeks later. I wake up to a familiar ceiling of red bricks. There are 496 of them, to be precise. Entertainment is sparse here. The cell is made of 3 brick walls and 1 made of metal bars to allow my captors a full view of my quarters, such as they are. The only saving grace is that I do not need to visit the lavatories, nor is it difficult to keep clean. No sweaty armpit, no dead skin for this young vampire. No moon blood either. Even my costume is cleaned after every fight by a terrified maid. There is very little cause for me to undress, and I have so far managed to clean myself at record speed and therefore avoided any spectator. I am Ariane, I am my own, I will survive, I will go home. I repeat the sentences every night, though my heart is not in it these days. I have achieved something I thought would have been impossible after waking up with no pulse. I am bored. I know, on an intellectual level, that I am in mortal danger. I also know that I am a prisoner, and yet my life has become routine. There are only a few variations. Sometimes, I am let out to practice with other gladiators as a reward for good behavior. I learn to move better, I learn where it hurts and what my body can do, but that barely covers an hour. Sometimes, I fight, and although it can be entertaining it is over too quickly. The rest of the time, there is nothing to do. I asked for a book and they brought me a Bible. I suppose this was a crude attempt at humor. I remember the cross on the men of the Order of Gabriel and their dreadful effects on me. However, when I opened my own copy, nothing happened despite the holy symbol on the cover. I thought that reading this most august of works would shed some new light on the world, now that I am aware of the existence of unnatural creatures. Sadly, I found little of interest. It appears that a lot of the content is about who begot who and which tribe camped where. Disappointing. 2 sets of footsteps approach my door. Harold comes into view, dragging a reluctant woman in a maid uniform. He opens the door and shoves her in. I approach slowly and she offers her neck, however as I draw closer, she seizes my arm. I do not show any surprise and when we are done, she leaves without a word. I open the folded paper she placed in my hand to read its content. Do not let him transform. The message bears no signature and I do not recognize who wrote the blocky letters. A moment later, Harold returns with a fresh armor. No helmet this time. Put it on, and hurry. As I walk to the arena, I know something has changed. Winter is here. The air tastes colder and more quiescent, and the whispers and laughter of the crowd have fallen silent. When my feet tread the sand, I glance around in surprise. The rowdy crowd has been replaced by my so-called benefactors. Lady Moore sits in the middle, in a comfortable throne. Baudouin and Melusine are on either sides. The red-headed hag is smirking gleefully and I am now convinced my opponent will be a difficult one. Lady Moore glowers down at me. Let the mercenary, she stops. Melusine leans towards her and whispers a few things. Moore considers her words for a moment before nodding in assent. You are correct, this is not technically against the rules. Inform Mr. Vaudier that he may start turning right away. Harold nods and crosses to the other gate. A moment later, dreadful cracks and groans emerge from the darkened corridor in front of me. What in the world is happening? The abominable noises continue for half a minute and culminate in a sound that freezes the blood in my veins, a primal roar of utmost savagery. The sound reverberates in the closed space. Birds take flight in the distance and the world around me holds its breath. A clattering of claws on cold stone announces the arrival of a creature of nightmare. Dark gray skin covers every muscular inch of a chimera between man and wolf. Even when hunched, it stands taller than me by half and its long and powerful hands end in claws that completely dwarf mine. What in the name of God is that thing? I am supposed to fight that. The creature's yellow eyes fall on me and in the same instant it jumps, and I move. I sidestep the beast, slide under its extended arms and rake my talons across its powerful sides. It feels like carving into stone. The monster's hands grab air and before it can turn around, I rush from behind and kick its lower back. I used this move before to shove an unbalanced opponent into the wall with some success. Now, it feels like hitting a pile of bricks. The creature turns around and slices the air where I was standing an instant before. It misses me by a breath. That thing is fast, almost as fast as me unless I move. That said, I am not giving a show anymore. I am well fed, and I do not have to give quarter. I draw into a deep part of me, the predatory aspect that ignores all rationality. The Lancasters fade away, the locked doors fade away. There is only me and the prey. Big, resilient. Inflict critical damage. No dragging out. The monster rushes me, this time it stops beyond my reach and lashes out towards my torso. I move, using the same jump I used to hit the mage. The enemy misses, but its arm brushes against my leg and I am propelled off course. I barely manage to swipe my target on the side of his head before ending up at its back again. This time, the creature howls in pain and reaches for the ruin of its left eye. I do not wait. I jump on it and dig both hands in its jugulars, then I pull. To no avail. My talons are stuck in the rock-hard skin. I fight and struggle in vain for an instant, then the monster's claws hit my midriff and throw me away. There is a horrible shredding sound when my claws are torn from his arteries, and another when my body is sent flying. Are those my guts? Oh my God, it is, oh my God, this. This is not alright. In a panic, I try to pull my intestines back as fast as possible while the beast coughs and hacks. I am almost done when it turns to me. Don't think about it, Ariane, don't think about knowing what touching your own organs feels like. Gah! The beast jumps again. So much blood. It killed itself when it wrestled me, slit its own throat. I just need to last a little longer. It steps forward and... such a tantalizing bouquet. I will partake of it. The creature lurches at me, then strikes. I move for the third and last time tonight, dodging strike after strike with one hand against my stomach until eventually, I stumble. What? Why? I look down to my blood-drenched form. The wound is not closing at all. I am bleeding out. Using my distraction, the monster grabs my left arm and pulls. The pain is renewed as I feel things come out that should have stayed in. So strong. I manage to lift my right hand so the beast's other arm clamps on my torso instead. The pain is almost enough to make me faint, only panic and my will to live keep me off the edge. It opens a hellish maw, filled with serrated fangs. Oh God! It is going to eat me. No. I grab its lower jaw and pull it towards me. The beast's mouth bites on my fingers and a new pain joins the other, but I had enough time. The creature did not expect this. No prey wants to get closer. My mouth sticks to the gaping wound on its throat and I start drinking. The beast shivers, it is already too late. A rush of power and life unlike anything I have ever felt crashes against my mind. There is no time to think about any cabin, no time to prepare. I am just washed away. Night. The hunt. I see something on the veil under the light of the full moon. It is an abomination devouring a child. I shoot. It jumps at me. I run. I reach a house. I reach the cellar door. Something bites my ankle but I turn and stab it in the eye. I run in. The beast is too large to follow me. Night. The hunt. Blood sings through my veins as I howl in triumph. The pale prey and their pathetic mounts lay dismembered around me. Mourning. Regret. Grief. Shame. Exile. I push away from the carcass and take a deep breath in. This was incredible. It does not compare to my master, of course, but it was the closest to have come to it. I hear a suction noise and look down. Under the grime and congealing blood, I am unharmed. Silence reigns over the arena. Melusine's face is a mask of stupefaction while Moore is contemplative. Baudouin is pale and sweaty. It's not fair. My lady, this is a draw. Unless I'm mistaken, your candidate is a stiff. How is that a draw? Enough. Do not argue in public. Melusine, do not be ridiculous. Take the loss and go. But. Lady Moore's image blurs and I hear a loud smack at the same time as Melusine's face moves back. She collapses in a heap and coughs blood. Oh. Oh. Let this moment be engraved in my memory until the end of times. Melusine's pretty face with the imprint of someone's hand on it and blood dripping down her poisonous mouth. Whatever God favors us vampires, praise be to thee. Ha! Torpor hits me like a hammer. I fed a lot and took a lot of damage in a very short time. I can barely keep to my feet. I look up to the silent watcher as I am dragged away. Did you enjoy it too? Pale light shines on the meadow. In the semi-darkness, everything looks the same shade of gray except for scarlet droplets. I smirk and shoulder the smoking musket. With a trail that obvious, who needs bloodhounds? I stride forward with haste, lest my prey ends up in some other animal's belly. It is a swamp rabbit of prodigious size. Wait until I show it to Papa. I will surely break his and Achilles' records. Ariane Raynaud, greatest hunter of House Raynaud, here I come. The trail goes over ferns and through bushes, and I follow. In less than a minute I start to hear wood snapping and a whimper of pain. Ha, so close. Here it is, my prey. Such a huge rabbit it is. No amiga, please. Do you not recognize me? I take out my hunting knife to finish it off humanely. One slice and it will bleed out nicely. No, Ariane, please, Ariane, I beg you. Ariane, no. There, all nice and proper. I lick the blood a bit, because it tastes so divine. Not bad. Now I just have to bring the carcass to the camp and weigh it. After I am done gloating, I shall allow Achille to gut and skin it for me. There is just something most peculiar about its empty eyes, staring at nothing. It is almost as if. Gah! By all the saints in paradise, what is it with these inane dreams? How awful! Who in their right mind would hunt at night in the bayou? Preposterous. Strutting around in the dark, in the marshlands is a surefire way to get bitten by an alligator and drown in some murky pond. I would not be caught dead doing something this senseless. There is, of course, the small matter of the murder of my best friend. Unfortunately, I expect nothing else from those nightmares. I lay there in relative peace. I am fully healed from yesterday's fight and clean, and though my quarters are nothing comfortable, there is a pleasant feeling to just staying in bed. Inevitably, the thirst lets itself known and like clockwork, 2 sets of footsteps approach my cage. When my donor comes into view, it takes all my self-control not to jump in joy. I school my expression as the door opens, as the donor slips something with the glint of gold in Harold's hand and as he leaves us alone. When I hear a shutting door though, I let myself smile warmly. Good evening Ainsa. The Cotties have finally made contact. Lo siento así, Orita. Time is short, and you must listen. I shiver as Ainsa's warm breath tickles my ear. We are sitting on my cot and I find her gesture distracting. We finally have an opportunity to force your escape. Unfortunately, it will have to be tomorrow. Is there anything that you can give us to justify our help? Please, my mistress wants to assist you, but her hands are tied. Would a list of Clan Lancaster's holdings, contracts, and associates do? It is quite comprehensive. Ainsa's eyes widen in surprise. Truly, you have gathered this much? Indeed. You are a prisoner, however. Do you have it secure somewhere? Yes, and I shall give it to you, but I must ask, I add warily, what stops you from taking the document and leaving? Say, Orita Ariane, you know of my mistress. Do you truly expect her to behave in such a shameful way? I suppose not. You can ask me again after you have fed, to assuage any doubt. Will I not be fighting your mistress for influence over you? Ainsa shakes her head with a light smile. Please, let us do it. Everything will be made clear. I embrace the shorter woman, who obediently bares her throat. Unmarred skin greets me and the offering is just too tempting. I flick my tongue and she shivers and moans. That was most lewd, and now I feel somewhat uncomfortable. Please, please, she urges me on. Am I being molested? Bah, quickly, let me feed and think of this no more. As I stand in my refuge, I realize something incredible. I am tied to the diminutive woman by a bond we forged months ago. That means that Jimena hasn't touched her companion in that long. That also explains why she could reach me without being recognized as another clan's human. There is no trace on her of the touch of another vampire besides my meager own. I can only applaud the squire's restraint and the servant's loyalty. It also means that she has been prepared to infiltrate the Lancaster clan since before I even entered their service. My vampire friend truly is a woman of honor. I am sure this separation has cost them dearly. I pull away long before I must. There is something too intimate about this experience that I am uncomfortable with. Ainsa's rosy cheeks and the smell of her arousal are enough to convince me that she and Jimena may entertain a sapphic relationship. Oh dear. Ask me again. Do you and Jimena intend to save me? Yes, you will be free tomorrow night. We have a plan. They will think you dead, and thus will not pursue. And what is that plan, if I may ask? I want to tell you, but Jimena said that it will not work then. I want to question her more, but the sound of Harold's footsteps dissuades me. I quickly write a few directions to one of my hideouts for her. Time matters not. I have waited for 6 months. I can wait one more night. I can almost feel it. I am Ariane, I am my own, I will survive, and tomorrow, I will head home, to freedom. I follow Harold through the maze in a dress reminiscent of what Melusine had worn during our extremely short sparring session. The warden turns back to me every 5 seconds, frowning at my bare arms. No shackles for this vampire. I can only assume that wherever we go, I may not appear as a slave. Harold fully expects me to make a run for it. I have taken his measure, and I am far from confident that I could escape him, and so I am patient. I will not endanger Jimena's plan for a harebrained scheme. A short time later, I climb into a carriage and settle down as it leaves. Lady Morph sits opposite me, wearing the finest white robe. She stares at me with an assessing gaze. I feel measured, weighted and judged. Good evening, Ariane. I bow slightly to return the courtesy. Vampire society is ruthless, yet polite. Manners and rules are more important, it seems, when everyone can remove spines from torsos with their bare hands. Lady Moore, greetings. It seems that I have misjudged you. Baudouin's assessment was mostly correct after all. My eyes widen in shock. This sounded suspiciously like a compliment and an apology. Or, at least, as close to one as this stuck-up, arrogant twit can manage. They must be desperate. This leads us to tonight. Clan Econ has issued a formal challenge, to be witnessed by Clan Roland. A challenge, my lady. The slave trade is picking up and those jackals want in on it. Nothing to concern yourself over. She waves a hand dismissively. As the provoked party, we had the choice of the form of the duel. What do you know about vampire conflicts? Nothing. I see. I would have hoped that Melusine would have taught, bah, it matters not. There are several forms of formal resolutions. I am sure that Kuoku would have preferred to fight me in a duel, but I will not sully my hands wielding a blade against that savage. I highly suspect that savage would give her a proper and well-deserved spanking. And so we will rely on champions. By rule, it cannot be a member of our house. In this desolate place, it would mean an expensive mercenary or a duelist. You have already slain Melusines' contender and so you are our best candidate. Win for us, and I will officially let you become Baudouin's right hand. Desperate indeed. Oh, but I must not look too eager lest she suspects something. Should I accept, I want to have the right to possess a weapon and a proper bedroom. Yes, yes indeed. You will be given Caitlin's free room. She died during the raid on the fortress. You will also be paid handsomely and be allowed to carry a blade, and before you ask, no, I cannot have someone representing my clan walk around with a musket. Women do not carry muskets around town. Just leave it be. She knows me so well. I am amused to realize that musket is fire staff in the tongue of Akkad. You have a deal, my lady. Excellent. Now, as the offended party, you have the freedom to choose the weapon. I let Moore tell me about strategy with only half an ear. Now that the bracer is off, I feel so giddy. In short order, we stop in front of a derelict theater with a Spanish facade of pitted stone. I walk in flanked by Harold and we reach an opulent entrance of yellow stone and red curtains. 2 curved stairs lead upward to a circular promenade while a set of doors stands in front of us. Corridors open here and there, basked in shadows. Belying the decayed exterior, everything here is spotless. Without a word, Harold leads me to a narrow passage while Moore struts proudly forward. I follow him through twisted alleys, barely lit by the errand candle. Freedom, so close I can taste it. Harold opens a set of doors and the golden light of torches shines on a renovated opera house. The lodges have been left intact, but the ground has been entirely replaced by a sand arena. This must be where they hold blood games during the winter. I can feel quite a few vampires in the tribunes, as well as a smattering of mortals. A small gathering lies ahead of us. The silence is eerie. Lady Moore and Lambert stand on one side, while Naminata and the man I recognize as Lord Cuckoo stand on the other. The twins, who had been Gaspard's subordinates back at the fortress, are in the middle. I meet my savior's eyes and she lowers them with sadness. I expected her to be more playful. I present to you our champion, Ariane of Clan Nirari. There is no Clan Nirari, retorts a frowning Cuckoo. Then unaffiliated, not that it matters, says Lady Moore with a smirk. One of the twins raises his hand and both sides fall silent. Both are men with very light brown hair, brown eyes, and tan skin. They are rather short and have the muscles I would associate with dancers. They wear an identical beige ensemble and the whole effect is decidedly monochromatic. The Lancaster is correct, Lord Cuckoo. There were no restrictions on champion selection when you both agreed. A vampire from another house lent for the occasion is completely acceptable. I freeze in horror. Oh dear. I finally understand. So caught in the perspective of freedom, I ignored Aintz's drunken remark. They will think you dead, she said. Oh no. This is going to be most painful. On this auspicious remark, let me present to you my representative, Squire Jimena of Clan Cotties. I hear a sharp breath intake coming from Moore. She clearly did not see that coming. Since when are you a Cotties lackey, Cuckoo? I thought. You thought our argument over the Kane farms was unresolved. Yes, I know. Lady Moore falls silent and I use this opportunity to stare at Jimena as she approaches. I thought I looked good in that strange battle dress I wear, yet she puts me to shame. She is regal in a form-fitting leather cuirass. Elaborate metal bracers adorn her forearms and her hand rests on the pommel of a sword of exquisite make. Both champions are approved. The parties may regain their seats. The others retreat and I am left with the twins and my opponent. Jimena's face is a frozen mask. The second twin turns to me. Ariane, as the offended party, the choice of arms is yours. If I may. We both turn to Jimena. I advise you to choose a blade, young one. There is no need to make this worse than it is. How are they so serious? I am afraid she is right, young one. Very well, I choose swords. One of the twins leaves and shortly comes back with a pair of identical dueling blades, made of silver without adornments. I pick one and Jimena, the other. This duel is to the death. You may begin when the door is shut. Hold on, what? To the death. The twins leave at a leisurely pace. Then the door closes behind the judges. Oh dear. I am sure she has a plan, and she was quite clear that I use this sword to the best of my abilities. Fight me, Ariane. Very well. I move, I try to swat her blade aside and lean in for a thrust, but she just lowers her blade then swipes it back up to deflect my blow. I keep moving more and more. Every attack is deflected, every feint is ignored until I turn it into a real attack that is, and then it is blocked. I rush at Jimena like an enraged mantis and she dodges by the barest of margins. Sometimes, she riposts but her moves are transparent, and I parry without difficulty. I accelerate to the limits of my power and already the thirst is back in strength. I try to grab her, I try to claw her. I try to kick and punch her. I attack her arm and legs. Nothing works. This fight has lasted longer than the fight against the werewolf. I have completed no less than 5 quick sequences and am approaching my limits when something odd happens. My head lurches, I stumble. My mind pops like a soap bubble. Every desire to fight evaporates and strength abandons me. My arms fall, the blade rolls on the floor. Huh? What is going on? I am trying to think through a thick wall of cotton. Ah! There is a blade in my heart. Thick red blood flows freely to my feet. There is so much of it. Jimena approaches me with sorrow clear on her face. Is it over, just like that? There was a plan. No. Her talons reach my throat. No. With a ripping sound, she tears something and my vision falls to black with the sound of polite applause. Night reigns absolute in the thorn forest. Vines as thick as my legs twist and cross from all sides. They are covered in massive spines that could punch through a skull. It is getting colder. I walk and the vegetation moves aside to let me through. Even when I know my skin should be shredded by the contact, I receive instead the briefest of caresses. It is not enough to give me courage. It is getting cold. I hug myself to stave off the frigid air in vain. I should be home, but I do not know the way. I am lost. Papa must be worried. Perhaps he is already looking for me. The stars, if I see the stars then I will at least know where the north lies. As if by magic, I immediately reach a clearing of packed earth. There are stars above but they are too indistinct, I recognize no constellation. I know in my heart that something is missing, but what? Ah yes, I know. Of course, silly me, there is always the silent watcher. A veil parts and the ominous orb stares at me in unknowable serenity. Somehow, its presence feels sharper today. My mind is like taken and flung across the earth. The jolt is enough to wake me up from my trance. I am stunned. What just happened? But wait, there is no time to lose. I am dying. It is not the false death of our sleep but the true end that no one can come back from. I need to move, to fight. I stand up and sprint towards the cabin. I do not need to see it to know where it is. We are, after all, in my psyche. A cold wind picks up and roars behind me. The forest twists and shakes to hold it back, in vain. I need to go faster. Suddenly, an enticing scent reaches my nostrils, blood most potent. It smells incredible. I run even faster. I need it. Such vitality, such life, I must make it my own. It is simply irresistible. I finally reach the log house and crash through the door. I come to with a gasp and terrible cough. Awake. Thirsty. Wounded. An incredible treat in my mouth and down my throat. Delicious. So strong. Not enough. Prey ahead, chained and whimpering. I reach the prey. I drink deep. Rush of life. No pleasure, too hurt. It dies. I take a deep breath and cough. Blood droplets splatter on the bound corpse in front of me and my shoes. The battle dress front is completely red. The hole in my chest is already closed and I understand. Jimena barely clipped my heart, even then the damage was massive. I understand the look on Gaspard's face as he died. I haven't felt this helpless since the night I met him. My throat still pains me. I cough again to try and clear the airway. More of the crimson liquid drips from my lips. I take stock. I am in some wooden shed devoid of anything but the corpse of the tied man, a backpack and an oiled envelope on top of it. I approach the bag and notice a sheathed silver knife. Unbidden, a smile reaches my lips. She did it, Jimena did it. I am free. Ah! Someone just screamed outside, I am not completely free it seems. I approach the door in silence and stare through the keyhole. I am in a courtyard occupied by two people. The first one is Ainsa and the second one is Charlotte. The bovine woman is holding the servant's hand. Two fingers are already bent at an unnatural angle. Curses, what should I do? If I come out, I may be found out and this will have all been for nothing, assuming I even survive, and yet, not intervening feels wrong. I have a debt of gratitude towards Jimena and Ainsa. I am not foolish enough to assume that we made a fair deal. They went to great length to guarantee my escape. Ainsa is begging now. She might be slain. Curse it all. This shall not stand. I would never be able to face my friend if I let it happen. I will have to risk it. I open the door and the hinges squeal like a stuck pig. So much for discretion. Charlotte turns her piggish face to me and erupts in triumph. Ha, I knew it. You thought you could outsmart old Charlotte? You will not escape our service so easily. Wait until the lady hears of this, your punishment will be exemplary. To return our gratitude. So the lady does not yet know? I say in a gravelly voice. No, but soon we shall all. So only you are aware of this scheme? I smile, making sure to show my fangs. This blood that was poured down my throat and the man that followed sated me, but the repairing damage is keeping the torpor at bay. I feel awake, strong, and quite happy. I am free, and now Charlotte comes to me without anyone knowing. This is just the cherry on the cake. I watch outrage and pride turn to hesitation then to fear. Yes, realize now your predicament, you brainless excuse of a frigid ham. Why you would not dare. I step closer, slowly as that she does not panic. I do not want to run after her. I stop at arm's reach. I am this close to escaping, you fat sow. Only your wagging tongue stands between me and freedom, so I ask you, why not? She turns to run and I move. The silver knife slides between her ribs and my hand on her neck buries her ugly mug in the dirt. She is so slow and pathetic. Turning your back to your opponent while they are so close. It is tantamount to suicide. I adjust my grip and bring the blade out. She cries briefly and I use the distraction to stab her in the heart. Her struggle immediately ceases. I hear a whimper as I drag her neck up. In life as death, you were ever at the bottom, cur. I drink her dry. When I stand up, a weak blue light starts to consume her lifeless body. I feel like I am watching a log disintegrate. Even her taste was disappointing. Truly, a waste of essence to the very end. Oh well. I turn to Ainsa. She stepped away from the fight and is currently cradling her wounded hand. Her face is pale but resolute. Ainsa. You must leave Ariane, or you will risk us all. Will you be alright? Yes, do not worry, this is not my first time running a scheme for Jimena. She does seem too honest for her own good. There is not a devious bone in her whole body. She adds with a warm smile and dreamy eyes. She loves her. If I had any doubts before, there are none now. Even with the bonds formed from our recent bite, Jimena is still the most precious person in the world to the petite woman. I feel a pang of jealousy in my heart, but I quickly suppress it. I do not need it. I do not want it. I shall take my leave then. Thank you, both of you, for everything. Godspeed, Lady Ariane. Read the letter with attention, it contains everything you need to know. I nod and rush away into the night. After 6 months of servitude, I am finally free. I made it. And now, I am going home. The town of Montfort where I grew up is about 2/3 of the way between New Orleans and Baton Rouge. It took us a day of riding to come here, back when I was alive. Tonight, it only took me 2 hours of running to reach the outskirts. I should have died. Even if my heart was barely clipped and my head still mostly attached, the grievous wounds I suffered should have been the end of me. Instead, I was given a few swallows of blood so potent, so incredibly strong that it amplified my healing and is even now carrying me forward. I have run before and any exertion quickly led to thirst. This time, I ride on the wind of boundless energy, a well of vitality that just goes on forever. Even now, I feel sated. I do not understand what I was given, I only know that I had never heard of something similar. Whatever I was gifted, it was both rare and precious. One more debt to add to the pile. I slow down as I recognize familiar houses. At this time of the night, the roads are completely empty and with clouds covering the night sky, even someone staring out of their windows would be hard-pressed to notice me. I still walk through fields and copses of trees to reach the back entrance of my house. I do not want to take any chances. I reach the first of my family's cane fields. Winter is almost here, so they lie empty and desolate. I keep walking. Wet earth and trees give me the peculiar smell I associate with home and I stop. I have done it. My primary purpose, the goal I aimed for since I woke up under the fortress, has been fulfilled. I held to this feeling, this idea of freedom and heading home to keep my sanity and determination in situations that could have broken me and left me helpless. I now realize that I have no idea how to proceed now that I have achieved those priorities. Those were not plans that could be implemented, they were ideals without follow-up. I sit down on a tree stump. What do I want? I am a monster. My family will know sooner rather than later, should I try to go back to my old life. Worse, the news of my return would spread far and wide and I might as well just send a missive to the Lancaster and the Order of Gabriel to show up to my house with a sharp blade and a silver spike. I do not want to stay. I still want to know how my father and brother are faring. They need this closure as much as I do. I do not want to die. I do not want to be a slave. All those are negative desires. They are an absence of things. They are not goals I can strive towards. At a loss, I decide to read Jimena's letter. She might have provided some good advice. I take out the heavy envelope from my larger backpack and open it. I note in passing that it is coated in something, to protect it from liquids, no doubt. They really thought of everything. The first line is a series of strange runes, all wedges, and sharp angles. It looks like someone stabbed the paper and the ink is black blood seeping from the wound. I blink and the meaning becomes obvious. Blood sister, if you can read and write the tongue of Akkad, please use it from now on in our correspondence. I do not even question how the knowledge ended up in my mind. The rest of the writing is in English. Jimena's letters are identical and evenly spaced. The paper does not have a single blot, which is no less than I expected from that straight arrow of a woman. My dear Ariane. The first thing you need to do upon reading these words is to get away from the city. Avoid the entire region around New Orleans like the plague, and give Baton Rouge a wide berth. You must not attract the notice of our peers, at least for a good 10 years. Do not let our efforts be in vain, for I will be unable to rescue you a second time. The second thing I need to tell you is to be careful if you head home. I do not blame you, for we have all done it. May the experience be kinder to you than it was to me. For the same reason, be careful not to be noticed, and for the love of all you hold dear, do not try to live your old life. You cannot trick the humans for long, and if the vampires do not notice, the Order of Gabriel will. Do not be fooled by their failure at the fortress. They are an efficient and ruthless lot, and they have been the end of many a fledgling. Underestimate them at your peril. Now that I assume you are safe and away, I would like to impart a few notions upon you. Your first priority is to survive for another year and a half. As a new fledgling, you require a lot of sustenance. You will need to drink deep every night, and finding the blood is not easy. You may feed off lone travelers, outlaws, and escapees with relative ease. Small villages may offer a hunting ground, but only for a single night. You must remember this. Wherever you go, you are and will be an outsider. You will attract attention, and attention is not your friend. As a vampire, you are more dangerous than most individual entities of the world. You are also isolated, at least for now. Do not let yourself be discovered and cornered. Do not let yourself be tracked down. Be always one step ahead of others, and your life will never be at risk. Let the crowd learn of the thing in its midst, however, and you will die. 100 may fall before you, but still, you will die, for nothing. The only place where your presence might be properly hidden is within the anonymous multitude of cities. Even then, you will be at constant risk without the support of a master. At least until you gather allies, you should stay on the move. For obvious reasons, you should avoid territories belonging to the natives, as a lone white woman at night will always be too noticeable. You may go where you wish, I would still advise you to stay well enough away from the 2 other vampire communities on the continent. One is in Charleston and the other in New York. Avoid them if you can. On to more practical matters, here is a list of advice I wish someone had given me when I first set out. Create a fake identity and make it believable. Stick to it. The more familiar you are with it, the less people will think you lie. Remain consistent. Changing name and persona in every village will not protect you from the Order, or vampires tracking you. It will only make slipping more likely. Always drink before you need to, or the choice to spare a life will be taken away by the thirst. You must find a place to spend the day at least 2 hours before daylight. If the sun reaches you as you slumber, you will never wake up again. Do not try to pet dogs, cats, or any other animals. They can tell what we are. Always keep a clean set of clothes, and if possible, clean socks as well. Do not forget to wash behind your ears for the errant spot of blood. Do not use pigs set on fire as a distraction, it will never work as intended. The same goes for boars and bulls. When people welcome you with a smile, it means they assume you to be a fugitive, and a member of their house is already on his way to the constable. And last but most important, hide the bodies. I closed the letter with a sigh of regret. Jimena's words are directions and warnings, there is no indication on what I should do with my life, besides surviving. I have only been delaying the inevitable. As much as I hate it, I will have to do some introspection. What do I want? I want to create something for myself and then nurture it. When I was younger, I wanted to build a stable and later a distillery. It is most likely impossible for now according to what I understand from Jimena's letter. I might be able to do it later. I will never be too old to start a new project, after all. If I cannot build, then at least I can travel. I could go to Florida or Texas, or even visit the Anglos' lands in the north. I could even go to Canada. Or, Paris. London. No, that seems like a terrible idea. I would need to cross the ocean and even my master would not risk it without preparation. This would also put me in contact with other clans. No Paris, no Barcelona, no Berlin for this lone vampire. I shall make the new world my own. Yes. I can travel, I can discover things and meet people, and eat them too. As soon as I am done here. Suddenly my mood plummets. I ran all the way here, and now I am wasting time making inane plans that may never reach completion. I am scared. There, I said it. I am terrified by what I will find. What will I do if they try to kill me? What will I do if they are dead? No, no. They cannot be dead. I will not accept it. I stand up in a rush and stride towards the mansion. I am almost there. The log cabin. I slowly step to the place of my childhood. It is burnt to the ground. No. Black soot clings to the stone foundations and the few surviving beams. The charcoal is dark and shiny, its surface made smooth by a season of rain. The small hearth is half collapsed and there is nothing left of the furniture. I step forward and kneel. I grab a handful of dark dust. What happened? Why is it gone, and why is it so small? My log cabin is tall. Large and strong, with a canopy bed. This pale imitation, this pathetic excuse of a dump cannot be the place of my childhood. I cannot accept it. Is this a joke? Is this some sort of trick? Is there a hidden place farther away? Perhaps I remember it wrong, this has to be a shed and the real thing is farther away. I am crying. I silently dab the tears away with a clean tissue. I am so terribly affected by the loss of this place. Why? Why am I so sad? I look up to the silent watcher and suddenly, my mind reaches my refuge. The sky is still dark and cloudless. Staring into it gives a feeling of immensity. I look down to the solid walls that would shame the ramparts of a Roman oppidum and step in. The gate opens before me, unbidden. The interior is warm and clean. The bed occupies the middle of the room, surrounded by furniture and the odd trinket, each a symbol of a significant memory. A fire roars in the hearth and the wood pops and hisses contentedly. I step out and end up sitting in wet ashes. So that is what it feels like, the death of innocence. It has been 6 months and the world moved on. It did not wait for me. I stand back up. No. This is nothing. This is just a building. I will not let such an event shatter me. I refuse. I keep going. After a while my childhood home comes in sight. It is a 2-story colonial house, the wood painted white. An outside patio leads to a grand entrance. I know every room in it, every nook and cranny, and yet there is a major problem. I cannot get in, at least not without an invitation. I need Papa to invite me. I walk away to his bedroom window, on the side of the 2nd floor. I jump up. I easily grab the sill with both hands and dig my talons in it, then I look down. Impressive, I will have to remember to jump up to avoid pursuers. Turning my attention forward, I face a shutter. Of course. I slide my index finger forward and the wood gives way with an audible crack, and I lift the lock. The shutter opens with a shriek from its rusty hinges. Inside, a dog starts to bark. I stare through the window and drawn curtains. Surely, Papa heard me. He should be up and waving around a massive iron poker while bellowing threats at whoever dares do disturb his property and his rest. The door slams wide and a female figure with a small dog comes in. I duck and let go. Roger, someone opened the shutter. Damn it, woman, I told you to wait for me. Dad? What's going on? I stay where I stand. Curses, this is my aunt and her family. What are they doing here? And where is my father? You stay there, I'm going to look outside. Dad? I said, stay there. He is going to step outside, voluntarily. How convenient. Roger leaves the house with a lamp, the dog and a loaded musket. The small white thing keeps barking until it catches my scent. Then it starts shaking. I jump down from the patio and land behind him in perfect silence. I grab the man's neck between two talons. He freezes and drops everything to grip my hand. I let him frantically struggle for a few seconds, then I increase the pressure. I have some questions, I say in a low voice. Ari? I stop dead. I cannot believe it. Did he recognize my voice? Roger and I were never close, we had not spoken since last May. How? How could he? Ari, is that you? No. Ari, what happened to you? We can help. Silence. I do not know. I ask the questions. Yes. And you answer. Now tell me, where is Papa? Ari, I am sorry, we had to. Where is he? In the dependents. I can tell you. Please don't hurt my daddy. Both of us turn to a small child, my nephew. For the first time, Roger's voice shows true panic. Please Lucien, no. Go home. And Ari. No, this is wrong, this is all wrong, this should not be happening. They do not belong here. This is the nest. Slay the intruders, drink them dry, display their corpses as warning for the off. No. No. This is my family. This parody of life has already robbed the human Ariane of her life, it will not take her family as well. I refuse. I am no slave, not to the Lancasters, not to him, and certainly not to my own instincts. This will not stand. I release the old man who collapses on the ground. Lucien looks at me in wonder. Curses, he must have seen the teeth. Now they know. I should kill them just to be on the safe side, I can easily get rid of the bodies. What is wrong with me? I need to leave. Where? Tom's old house. Wait. I stop but do not dare to turn around and face them. He had a hard time handling your disappearance. Then why is he not in his bedroom where he belongs? He drank too much, he burnt down the resting cabin, almost burnt down the house too. He moved out. We are taking care of the slaves and his investment while he, well, wastes away. I see. Ari, what happened to you? You did not see me, uncle. You never saw me here. I am dead. Do you understand? We love you, Ari, we are your family. Just stay. No. I cannot. I really cannot. I would endanger Lucien and Sarah. I would endanger us all. I understand. Is it farewell then? It is. Then, I wish you the best and I am sorry. Goodbye Roger. Goodbye, Ari. Bye Aunt Ari, take care. I sprint forward to a group of small houses. It only takes me a few seconds to find the right house and knock on the door like a fury. It takes him a long time to answer, long enough, in fact, for other people to wake up. I care not. Eventually, he opens the door and we stare at each other in stunned silence. It is him, it is really him. Let me in. Ari. Let me in, damn it. Astonished, he makes the barest of move and that is all that I need. I push past him and he closes the door behind me. Only a small candle provides light around us. His place is a hovel, filled with rickety furniture and empty bottles. It reeks of alcohol, digested alcohol, and sweat. We stay silent. I do not even turn to face him. I jump when someone knocks on the door. Mr. Raynaud, are you all right in there? Yes. I am fine. Please, leave me be. As you say, sir. We both turn at the same time. I wear a winter traveling garb complete with a cape, but my head is bare and my hair free. I am the exact copy of the woman who left his house back in July, down to the hair length. He, however, is but a shadow of his former self. His sickly skin is drawn taut over a skeletal frame. His blue eyes are sunken and devoid of their usual spark. His shoulders are slumped, he is hunched, and even his proud blonde beard is matted and messy. I find the irony tragic. I am the one who was left behind, but he is the one who could not let go. Is that really you, or is this some sort of cruel joke? His voice is cold, but his face shows an ocean of suffering, constant grief without end that even the bottle failed to blunt. I hesitate, then I decide to go for honesty. I am so sorry, I do not know. I start bawling like a child. God, how pathetic I am. The proud vampire who reigned undefeated over the gauntlet reduced to a quivering mess. My father takes me in his arms and hugs me. I lean into it. We stay like this for a while. God, I wish this would never stop. After a while, I push him away. He lets me go. You cried blood on my shirt, daughter. It was filthy anyway. Tell me what is going on. I start talking and I do not stop. The tale of what happens comes out in a messy jumble. I talk about being cursed, being dead, needing blood, escaping, my friend Jimena, how I first met her, fighting in the gauntlet, running errands, the big eye in the sky. It just comes out in a big pile of nonsense, and never does he interrupt me. After a good hour, I putter out like a wet pistol. He dries his wet cheeks with a tissue as I wait for something, a verdict I suppose. I think so, I say with some hesitation. I do not think I am human. Did she suffer? Did she call for me? I look at him. His face is a mask. Should I say the truth? He would never believe a lie. Yes. I did. He sits down and cries again. We have cried quite a bit this past hour. I even stained the front of my dress. I never expected you to come, I say. I sit down. There was nothing you could have done. This is unfair, I know, but I can tell you this, even if you had found me, you would have died as well. I failed you. No, you did not. You made me happy. For those past 19 years, you made me happy. This is what you were supposed to do, Papa. Killing millennia-old monsters was never part of the deal. If I had known. But you could not. We sit in silence. Do you really have to leave? Yes. I just came by because I needed closure. We both did. I guess. Where is Akil? Closing a contract in Houston. He has come to terms with your death, I believe. I expected no less from my practical brother. How is Constanza? She recovered, but her face is scarred. She was followed by a nice doctor from the city and they are getting married in April. That is good to hear. We stay for a while in comfortable silence. I do not believe I have ever stayed awake for so long since I died. I am dimly aware that I will need to find shelter for the day, but right now, I cannot bring myself to care. I must leave Papa. Yes, I suppose you do. His eyes suddenly widen in shock and a silly smile lightens his features. I feel myself mirror the expression. It is so good to see life come back to him, if only a little. Hold on. Before you go, I have your birthday gift. What? You do. And it finally occurs to me that I turn 20 in August. I was so focused on running errands and surviving that it never occurred to me to celebrate. Excited, Papa runs to his bedroom and rummages through various belongings. I hear him mutter and curse, then with a triumphant, "Aha," he returns with a long leather holster. Papa. Is that? Indeed. I had Talleyrand make it for you. Try it out. I open the cover and take out a brand new rifle. Oh my, oh my. It's wonderful. I jump excitedly and I touch the smooth polished stock of red-colored wood, the silver-engraved firing mechanism, and the long barrel. The weapon is a work of art and love. I aim and it is as if I have had it my whole life. It is perfectly balanced and quite light, although I suppose I can thank my new strength for that last part. Incredible. It is as if it was made for me. It was. Talleyrand used your exact measurements. Oh Papa, this is such a great gift. Thank you, thank you. I jump and hug him again, laughing all the time. For a while, my father goes to great length to explain how special the gun is. It is a more recent design that uses paper cartridges and is loaded from the gun's breech instead of the muzzle. The barrel is even rifled for increased accuracy. Truly, the wonders of science know no bounds. After that, it is time to say goodbye. I shoulder my backpack, the leather cover and pocket the bag of ammunition in silence. Father holds my shoulders then gives me one last hug. It is the first time in 6 months that I embrace someone I will not feed from. He backs up a bit then a rugged thumb caresses my cheek. I remember that you told me you are not my Ariane, but you were wrong. You still carry the same spirit, the same aspirations and God forgive me, the same love for unladylike things that go boom. Father. Shoo, ha ha ha, let your old man finish. You think that being human is what made you my daughter. It is not. Being you is what made you my daughter. You have always changed and grown, this particular change is just the latest and the most dire. Do not despair and do not let go of your past and our time together, yes? Don't make me cry again. Huh, it is fine. The same goes for you. I reply between 2 hiccups, you better clean yourself, mister. Don't make me feel ashamed. Oh, believe me, I will. I turn and step to the door before I lose every last bit of self-control I have. I am so emotional tonight, more so than usual. This strange blood might be to blame yet I feel no regret. I think that I needed it. Take the key to the St. Landry warehouse. You can rest there today and, Ariane. Yes. You have enemies. Give them hell and no quarters. I refuse to lose you again, you hear? You are forbidden from dying before me. I promise. Good, now go, and don't forget to write. I leave Montfort at a dead run, feeling light as a feather. I did not expect everything to have gone so well. I look up and exchange a glance with the silent watcher. Its gaze feels softer tonight. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. The road forward lies open. It has been a week since I left Montfort. I have been able to take shelter in sheds and barns locked for the winter without much difficulty. The ability to climb means that I never have to force a door open. At worst, I have removed a pair of planks. As for nourishment, it was not hard either. There are several kinds of victims. Some villages have sentries who walk around with a lantern. The light they carry makes them visible from hundreds of meters away, which I find very thoughtful of them. I have but to follow the signal and blood is to be found. There is also the odd travelers. A surprising amount of people move at night for one reason or another, merchants coming back home, doctors, soldiers on leave. It is enough. If I ever grow desperate, I can always remove a layer of clothes and knock on a door with desperation on my face, although I shall do this as a last resort. I have followed Jimena's advice to stay on the move and to leave no body to be found. The best way to do so, I find, is to not create one to begin with. It seems that tonight will be the exception. I am reaching the end of settled land and have started to skirt Choctaw territory, moving east. This used to be native country as well, but it changed hands when a certain governor decided that respecting treaties only applied when the other side had a modern army. I noticed that since passing Mobile, the land and its people have grown increasingly rough. Case in point. Your turn, book. I stand at the edge of a small clearing. A hound is attached to the opposite end and is voraciously devouring a piece of charred meat. Two patched tents sit on both sides of a small fire and the ground is littered with half-chewed bones and empty bottles. The culprits are three filthy men in their 20s who roar in laughter when a thrown knife kisses the cheek of a slave bound to a tree, eliciting a small whimper. I frown in disapproval. I understand playing with your prey, but there is something about this situation that bothers me. The black man shows courage in the face of defeat. Surely, this warrants some sort of respect, no? The situation is quite clear to me. The slave escaped, was successfully tracked down, and now he will be returned, judged and punished according to the black code. The way they torture him and shed his blood for no reason feels wasteful and disrespectful of the prey and the hunt. Those people disgust me, and I am thirsty, so we shall see forthwith if they truly are the predators they believe themselves to be. I retreat and hide my backpack as well as my precious rifle. I quickly don my most tattered dress, leave my travel cloak on the ground and return to the camp. After some deliberation, I decide to bare one white shoulder for them to see. The bait is set. I take the hunched posture of the victim and cross my arm in a protective gesture. I step into the clearing, let out a loud gasp and deliberately step on a branch. The dog starts growling. The three men fail to notice me. Unbelievable. Only when the slave's eyes grow wide, do they turn around. I have maintained my frightened deer expression for a solid 10 seconds now. Heavens, how much effort I am wasting trying to turn this into a proper contest. I could have broken two of the ruffian's neck and the last one would still be giggling like a cretin while scratching his privates. I really hope they will do better from now on. Well, sweet thing, are you lost? Don't you worry, me and the boys will take real good care of you, won't we lads, says the leader, a gangly man with a cruel face. Yeah, hoo, replies a short man with a bushy beard and a lazy eye. The third man just stands there with an absent smile. A trail of drool drips down his chin. And just like that, my interest in a verbal exchange has died down. There is little cause for a battle of wit when my opponents are so obviously unarmed, so I let out a distressed yelp and turn to flee. As expected, the three launched themselves after with drunken laughter. I am forced to slow down so that they do not lose my trail. We eventually reach another clearing and I veer left, then I hide at the base of the tallest beech tree I can find. The trio reaches the clearing and the leader scowls. He makes a hand gesture and they separate to start to look for tracks. Should have taken the dog, says the leader. That would not have saved you. I wait a bit until they are properly split, then I let one foot hanging out of my hiding spot. As soon as the closest lout looks in my direction, I snap a branch and his eyes land on it. I hope he is dumb enough to fall for that more than obvious ploy. He is. I am not surprised, but still a bit disappointed. I see from the corner of my eye the man, the bearded one called Book, gesture at his friends to join him. Of course, they are already too far from each other to notice and so he would have to call them, warning me that I am spotted. Or he could take me by surprise. Book is eminently predictable. I know he will prefer to end the chase as fast as possible and I also know why. He is after another kind of sport. As the man creeps ever closer with all the subtlety of a drunken bull in a china shop. The wind blows and I catch a waft of his musk. Oh. My. God. Do I really want to drink from him? Can I truly not catch any diseases? I am afraid that I will have to burn that dress afterward, or risk being noticed from a mile away. How can a man allow himself to be so revolting? How has his nose not fallen off yet? Ah, this is getting worse and worse. The man extends a filthy hand to catch my leg and at the last moment, before he can stain my sock beyond anyone's ability to wash it, I move. 2 fingers close on his airway without drawing blood, yet. I smile to him and make sure he sees the 8 fangs. I start whispering. Congratulations, you caught, and I freeze. The man just soiled himself. I thought the smell could not possibly get any worse. I was sorely mistaken. TCH, you insufferable swine. I stop again. Something is crawling from his beard to my arm. My eyes widen in shock as my enhanced vision reveals the unwelcome transient. Lice. HSSS. Oh, that is it. I punch the man in the throat, grab his arm and bite deep. In the safety of my refuge, I ignore both the rush of life and my memories to stare at the echo of the silent watcher. Don't think about it, don't think about it, don't think about it. Book. The leader is walking in my general direction with a scowl. I push the horrendous remains in a recess and walk forward in the clearing as if I were trying to be stealthy. I then seemingly notice the leader and run away with a scream of terror. The leader smiles and sprints, all thoughts of his friend promptly forgotten. We race for half a minute, during which the man manages to promise me that I will like it, threaten me if I don't stop, call me a dumb whore, and compliments my rear. Really, what is it with men and my posterior? Should I ask? Eventually, I pretend to fall. The gangly lowlife stops to savor the sight of his target crawling on the ground. The glint in his eye is quite telling, and so is the way he licks his lips. Then I turn my head and fix a random spot in the tree. Behind you. I scream in terror. The man frowns and turns away, only for two talons to grab his neck. I add in a sultry voice, behind you. I took my time enjoying the leader and I am now sated. The thirst has left me be for the night and I now face a dilemma. Should I slay the simpleton in front of me, or let him go free? I am not confident about my ability to make him forget. When I drew from travelers on my way here, the bite and a look were always enough to send them off with no recollection of the event. A chase that resulted in the disappearance of friends, however, is another issue altogether. If I let him leave, will he speak of a blonde woman in a tattered dress? In the best-case scenario, informed parties might recognize the influence of a vampire. In the worst case, they could start a manhunt. He is dangerous. And yet is any of this truly his fault? He looks too dim to understand the evil of his ways. His friends were quite possibly a bad influence. Am I not being too hasty? I am already feeling just a little tipsy. Could vampires get drunk from too much blood? Surely not. You woman. I fool you, says the dullard as he finally notices me. He then proceeds to unhook his belt and lower his pants. Do you like the servant girl? Well, that settles it. Tee-hee-hee. Oh, but what a beautiful night it is. So nice and quiet, and peaceful, and the weather is so clement. Why, I could have a tea party under the moon. And the silent watcher. Except, with no tea, please. Instead, we could have gentlemen on the table and Jimena and Constanza could be there. And the gentleman would be completely nude. Tee-hee-hee-hee-hee-hee, nude. But first I have to clean up the bodies because Jimena said I should, and Jimena is my best friend in the whole world. So, I bring them together, it is so easy. The idiot was already there, so I went to pick up the leader and it took me a little bit to find him, but eventually I did, and then I brought him and piled them, and then I found the stinky one, but he is too gross, so I took the belt from the idiot and wrapped it around his leg, and then I tied it to the head of the idiot. Now I only have to drag the idiot to move both of them. Genius. Ariane, the light of your intellect truly shines upon this world. So, I take the leader's belt and attach his head the idiot's leg, and now I can just return to the camp in one go with all three corpses. My ability to innovate knows no bounds. So, I pick the leader and start to drag and fall on my face. Heavy. I spit out a few leaves and stare up at the silent watcher. You didn't see anything. It watches. Fine. But don't tell anyone, I am serious. I continue between two grunts, I have a reputation to uphold. I navigate myself and the corpse train back to the camp and only fall twice and bump against one tree. Ariane, queen of dexterity. As I reach the clearing, the dog starts barking and howling, so I roar once and it quiets down with a whimper. Good dog. I drop my luggage and look around for a shovel. There are no marshes around, so I would be better off burying the bodies. Oh, but wait. I turn around and burp. A trail of blood drips from my chin. Ariane, manners. Ah yes, I remember now. The captive. I move closer and the black man looks at me with a surprising amount of calm. Why, how courageous. My mouth is positively covered in the red liquid and still, he does not flinch. Greeting, princess. Huh, did he just? The man leans forward despite the ropes biting in his wrist and offers his jugular. That is so unusual and so exciting. He spoke the tongue. And he was so polite by calling me, Neen, a princess. And this submissive position, I feel that I should not hurt him. Why, I am curious now. I was going to kill him cleanly, but now I just have to hear what he has to say. The words escape my lips, unbidden. Supplicant. The man almost collapses in relief. What? He was that anxious. Princess, would you please free my hands? It is a reasonable request, and besides, he cannot kneel properly as he is. The position of supplicant is all wrong. Very well. I walk to him and cut the ropes with a few swipes with my talons. Just like a cat. Tee-hee-hee-hee. Now the man massages his wrists. Well, where is my kneeling supplicant? He freezes and slowly kneels and, again, offers his throat to me. Just so. Now, I am satisfied. So I stop growling. You may rise. He does not move and so I sigh. You may rise. Silly Ariane, you cannot expect every human to know the tongue. Bah. What is your name? Toussaint. A Creole. That might explain it. He is acquainted with the econ, maybe even that scandalous girl Nami. Possibly. How do you know how to address me? Princess, there is a Bakr who goes from plantation to plantation. He speaks to us of the voodoo and the way of magic. He also told us of the Loa, the Lugaru, and the Pale Ones. He said that if one meets a Pale One outside at night, he should greet them politely, and pray they are feeling merciful. I hold my hands up. This is a fascinating tale, but I now have a most urgent matter to attend to. I rush to the nearest bush. Oh. I throw up blood. It stinks. There is no vitality to be found in it, at all. Bah. I should not have drunk so much, but, well, I did not want all that life to go to waste. Hick. You. When I come back, Toussaint has not moved an inch. Droplets of cold sweat have gathered on his brow however, despite the chill. What is a loup-garou anyway? A werewolf. A cursed soul who turns into a horrible monster under the light of the moon. It is said that it is as tall as 2 men, covered in fur, and strong enough to shred metal. Only by silver can it be slain, but it is no small task. For the beast is terrifying, its maw is like that of a wolf and lined with nightmarish. Oh, so that's what it was. Well, it was delicious. Full of life and power. I wonder if I can catch another one. Toussaint does not reply, but he smells afraid again. Was it something I said? Bah. So you presented yourself as a supplicant. Now tell me, what is your request? I would like to live. I tap my index against my chin and ponder those words. He would like to live. Well, it does sound reasonable, I suppose. I cannot stomach another human anyway. I could let him go. Ah, Toussaint, I wish I could, but I really cannot have someone spread tales of my passage. You see, I grab his shoulder and lean closer because it's a secret. I am trying to move incon wait. Incognito. He winces. Yes, that is it. Teehee. That is not an issue, princess. He replies with the barest trace of panic. I can swear an oath on the Loa. So. If I lie, my soul will burn in hell for all eternity. The Bondi will never forgive me. Give me your hand. I lightly bite him and stare in his eyes. You meant to betray me? No, princess. Toussaint is a man of honor. Do you believe that if you break an oath to the Loa, your soul will go to hell? Of course. He answers, scandalized. Very well then. I will consent to let you go. In return, you will help me bury the bodies. Princess. Truly. He licks his lips, hope clear as day on his face. Yes. Now swear. I expected a hastily cobbled up sentence. Instead, the man actually builds a small altar of wood and soot and mutters a long prayer, complete with a loud proclamation of demise should he break his word. How queer. I was having a perfectly reasonable night and suddenly, something completely out of the ordinary happens, a heathen ceremony. That is so quaint. After he is done, Toussaint finds a small gully and we drop the bodies there and then cover them with earth and heavy stones so that wild animals don't dig them up. Tada! They're gone. Ariane, queen of prestidigitation. We walk back to camp one last time. Toussaint assures me that he knows where he intends to go, that he will take care of the men's belonging and their dog as well. He also gives me some directions without prompt. On this note, we part ways. The expression of grateful incredulity he shows me when I leave is so touching. He is, as my father would say, a good lad. With his advice, I quickly find shelter in a natural cave system and although it is still quite early, I decide to call it a night.